Chapter 1481. Something had happened. There was no need to ask. He could tell that Shun's expression had changed drastically. Lin Feng's eyes were burning as he pressed his chest. Shun, who had always been calm, had revealed such an expression. It was definitely not an ordinary matter. Currently, the shaman and demon clans were fighting fiercely in the northern ancient region. The shaman clan had the upper hand while the demon clans were losing ground. Could it be? As Lin Feng pondered, he vaguely guessed something. However, only Shun himself knew what had really happened. Shun turned off the compass. He was still in shock. It was definitely not a small matter. Shun, Lin Feng called out softly. His eyes were bright. Shun looked over and clenched his fists. He said in a low voice, "The shaman clan has fallen into a trap." A trap? What trap? Lin Feng was stunned. He looked at Shun and asked, could it be that the demon clan has been waiting for the shaman clan to counterattack? Shun shook his head. His face was pale. The demon clan has indeed set up an ambush. However, it is not in the northern ancient region. It is in the southern ancient region. His voice was cold and trembling. When it landed in Lin Feng's ears, it was like thunder. Instantly, his footsteps became heavy. Did he hear wrongly? The southern ancient region. Why would the demon clan, which was far away in the northern ancient region, set up an ambush in the southern ancient region? Is the news confirmed? Lin Feng's expression was cold. The veins on his forehead were exposed. Among the 7 ancient regions of the ancient clan, he only cared about the southern ancient region. His grandfather, mother, and the ancient Feng clan were there. If the demon clan's army attacked, they would definitely be prepared. How could the ancient clan experts in the southern ancient region resist them? It has been confirmed, Shun said solemnly. The demon clan's army has already entered and started fighting with the ancient clan experts. Oh no! Lin Feng's hands and feet instantly turned cold. The sudden news made him completely dumbfounded, and he couldn't react in time. It was a diversion. The demon clan calculated well. Not only did they predict that the shaman clan would counterattack, but they also beat them at their own game. Shun's eyes sparkled as he said in a low voice, "The one who came up with the plan for the monster clan is not only treacherous and cunning, but also cruel and merciless." Since he had predicted that the Magi would counterattack, he could have stationed his troops in the northern ancient region and fought to the death with the demons. Yet, they chose to destroy everything indiscriminately, sacrificing 8,000 of their own to kill 10,000 of their enemies. Shun clenched his teeth, feeling a chill in his heart. Facing such an opponent, the word terrifying wasn't enough to describe it. Lin Feng's eyes were burning as he nodded slightly. He had already recovered from his momentary daze. Even though things had happened too suddenly, he had to calm down before he could think of a solution. Panic, confusion, and anxiety would not solve the problem. Instead, it would spoil things. This matter seemed to be sudden, but it was actually just as Shun had said. It was a complete and utter scheme. The demons had done it deliberately. The demons' sacrifice in the ancient northern region not only depleted the shaman race's strength, but also slowed them down. All for the sake of heavily injuring the ancient southern region. Lin Feng's heart was heavy. What should he do? At the moment, there seemed to be no way to save the ancient southern region. War did not rely on one's strength, but the strength and planning of the entire faction. Perhaps he was already strong enough, but how many of them could he kill in the face of the endless horde of demons? Moreover, the strength of the demons might not necessarily be inferior to his. It was always difficult to determine the outcome of a war with one strike of a hammer. However, he had no choice. It was impossible for him to watch his grandfather be killed and the ancient Feng clan be massacred. Even if I can only do my best, I have to do it. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Blue light flashed in his hand, and the Doomsday spear appeared in an instant. It let out a sonorous sound, and his fighting spirit surged. He could not wait any longer. "Do you want to go?" Shun looked at Lin Feng and asked in a deep voice. He clearly knew Lin Feng's identity and background, and he also knew what Lin Feng's personality was like. Family was above everything. As expected, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and frowned. He had failed to use Yu Miao to open the space door. The space in the ancient southern region was extremely unstable and could not be used for long-distance teleportation. With his strength, he could not control such a dangerous move. If he accidentally fell into the space turbulence, his body and soul would be destroyed. The demons are quite well prepared. The entire ancient southern region is probably in an abyss of suffering. If there are no accidents in this battle, the sorcerer tribe will suffer a huge loss. It will directly affect the balance of the war of the sorcerer tribe. Lin Feng thought to himself as he quickly found the location of the teleportation array. He had to hurry up. The Alliance of Engravers. Whoosh! Lin Feng sped in like a gust of wind. His eyes were deep, and wherever he passed, it was as if a gust of wind was blowing. The Alliance was filled with exclamations of shock. In an instant, he passed through the passage and entered a huge, spiraling hall. There were many engraving arrays and countless engravers. Lin Feng suddenly stood up. The golden astral source energy shone brightly, and the strength of a sage king was undoubtedly obvious. There was no need to hold back, and there was no need to keep a low profile. Time was the most important thing now. There is no need to panic. I am Lin Feng, the Lord of the Southern Region. Standing in the air, Lin Feng looked down. The inscriptionists were all dumbstruck. They were all shocked. However, there was no time to explain so much to them. Lin Feng said solemnly, "All engravers, listen up. Immediately find the nearest teleportation array to the ancient southern region." The sound of his landing echoed 3 feet in the air. There was a commotion. Lin Feng's appearance had already been deeply engraved in the hearts of every warrior in the southern region through the sky. Everyone in the southern region knew of Emperor Lin's name. In almost an instant, the teleportation arrays lit up with white light and opened in an instant. The engravers were full of energy. Many of their eyes were shining. Many of them were incomparably anxious, and many of them were excited and nervous. If they could help Emperor Lin, it would undoubtedly be a great honor for them. Lin Feng was now the spiritual pillar of the entire southern region. He was the symbol of an emperor. He was the hero that everyone worshipped. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Time passed extremely quickly. The engravers were burning with anxiety. However, Lin Feng's eyes were shining, but his heart was calm. The more critical the moment was, the more he couldn't have any emotional fluctuations. He looked around and waited patiently. 30 seconds. 32 seconds. 33 seconds. Found it, found it. An excited voice sounded instantly. Lin Feng's eyes were burning as he moved almost instantly. In front of him was a young man who was slightly younger than him. His large eyes were shining brightly. Number 768, 665, 191, 330. This teleportation array can still be used. Emperor Lin. The young man's voice trembled. He was nervous and excited. Okay. Lin Feng's eyes were deep. Then, he stepped onto the teleportation array. The young man pressed the button, and a dazzling white light burst out. The surrounding engravers looked over and focused on the young man with big eyes. There was envy and disappointment in their eyes. "What's your name?" Lin Feng asked. "Ji Zheng." "Emperor Lin." The young man with big eyes, Ji Zheng, said hurriedly. "Not bad." Lin Feng's eyes flashed slightly. He smiled calmly. "Find your president and ask him to arrange for you to meet Shun. Tell him that I recommended you." "Thank you. Thank you, Emperor Lin." Ji Zheng was overjoyed. He was so excited that his body trembled. The surrounding engravers looked at him with envy. They were all disappointed that Ji Zheng had snatched the same opportunity. Not only did he perform well in front of Emperor Lin, but he also received Emperor Lin's personal recommendation. What honor! What a fortuitous opportunity! It could be said that he had reached the heavens in a single step. Sizzle. Sizzle. White light flashed, and the teleportation array was ready in a few seconds. When Lin Feng said the last word, the rapid spatial energy had already wrapped the entire teleportation array. Almost instantly, Lin Feng's figure disappeared from the Hall of the Union of Engravers, leaving behind a group of engravers who had yet to recover from their shock and an extremely excited Ji Zheng. Opportunities were always given to those who were prepared. Swoosh! Lin Feng appeared instantly. He was surrounded by ruins. It was the wilderness. When he opened his eyes, he could see 3 ferocious beasts pouncing at him at lightning speed. Lin Feng's eyes flashed slightly. The aura of a sage king burst out violently. In an instant, the situation changed drastically. The expressions of the 3 extraordinarily ferocious beasts changed drastically, and they were incomparably shocked. Stab! Stab! The 3 beasts stopped their momentum and trembled. They were like tigers coming down the mountain, but they instantly became like kittens. They curled up and didn't dare to move. They buried their heads deep into the ground and whimpered as if they were begging for mercy. They bullied the weak and feared the strong. The wilderness had always been a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Swoosh! As the white light of the teleportation array disappeared, Lin Feng flew away. He didn't have the time and energy to argue with these beasts. The ancient southern region was in danger. What was the use of killing a few beasts who didn't know what was good for them? Business was more important. But what's going on? Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He felt a tightness in his chest. The pain in his heart intensified. It was as if there was a flame burning in his body. A familiar rhythm was calling out to him. Was it Grandpa? Did he sense it because his family was in danger? Wait for me. Lin Feng's eyes focused. His heart sank. Grandpa, hold on for a while longer. He didn't care about the other members of the ancient Phoenix clan, but Grandpa was his closest family member. If he hadn't protected his mother all those years ago, she would have been taken away by the God Palace. Grandpa also doted on him. It was like drinking water. Only the person who drank it would know whether it was hot or cold. Swoosh! Lin Feng clenched his fists and unleashed his maximum speed. As he passed through, the space shook. The compass clearly pointed in the direction of the ancient southern region, but in reality, there was no need for guidance. The aura in front was dense. He could clearly sense the outbreak of war. As he got closer to the ancient southern region, the pain in his heart intensified. What was it? There was no way to know, and he didn't want to know. He had to be fast. Swoosh! He traveled at his maximum speed. The distance between them was like an inch. In less than half an hour, the aura in front of him was extremely dense. The ancient southern region was right in front of him. I'm coming. Lin Feng's eyes flashed coldly. Chapter 1482. Southern Ancient Region. The flames of war swirled in the air, on the verge of collapse. The ancient race possessed enviable talents and abilities. They had inherited the blood of divine beasts. As long as an ancient race's expert could merge with the blood of divine beasts, they would be able to advance to Saint Realm in the future. However, the heavens were fair. By bestowing the ancient race's experts with such heaven-defying talents, they had also deprived them of other abilities. For example, body. The ancient race's physique was weak, even weaker than humans. Every ancient race's expert was an innate heavenly god realm expert, a heavenly spirit master. However, very few ancient race's experts could become peak martial god realm experts. Their weak physique determined that the ancient race's path to martial god realm experts would be filled with difficulties. Therefore, the ancient race could never become the main force of the war. They could only cooperate with the sorcerer tribe's experts to attack. This was their biggest disadvantage. Their innate flaws could not be changed. Although both Di Jiang and Shi Jiuyin had the foresight to send the sorcerer tribe's experts to the 7 ancient regions to protect the ancient race's experts, this was only a small portion of the sorcerer tribe's experts. How could they be compared to the demonic beast race's experts who had been preparing for a long time? A dense mass of black. Under Lam Tok T's plan, the demonic beast race's experts used the strategy of mutual destruction to restrain the sorcerer tribe's army, preventing them from providing reinforcements. On the other hand, the two-faced lion tribe's beast king, Zhong Yong, and the dragon elephant turtle tribe's beast king, Ao Jiang, were the leaders of the demonic beast race. The demonic beast race's 5 royal races were the peak existences of the 5 great origin energies. The two-faced lion tribe's innate talent, forest wood, was full of vitality and endless. The dragon-elephant-turtle tribe's innate talent, rainbow water, was able to cover the sky with rainbow light, crushing everything in its path. The two Beast Kings' abilities were able to restrain most of the fire element heavenly spirit masters in the ancient southern region, especially the dragon-elephant-turtle tribe. They were the nemesis of the fire element heavenly spirit masters. With the army pressing down on them, the ancient southern region was in danger. Covering the sky, flames, forest wood, and rainbow water collided fiercely. The demonic beast race's experts charged forward fearlessly. Wave after wave of demonic beast race's experts suppressed the flames attacks of the ancient race's experts. Even though the powerful warriors of the sorcerer tribe, who were like meat shields, tried their best to defend, the absolute difference in numbers caused the powerful warriors of the sorcerer tribe to be filled with loopholes. Moreover, the aboriginals were now in a state of disarray. Some of them were fleeing, while others were fighting. There was no fixed pattern of cooperation at all. He had been caught off guard by the demons. A maniacal laughter came from the middle of the demon army. It was a strange person with two faces. One was laughing loudly, while the other had a calm expression. His eyes emitted a faint, killing intent. It was the demon king of the two-faced lion race, Zongyong. He said casually, "Old Jiang, how long do you think the ancient can last?" The old Jiang he spoke of was a short old man, but his robust body was surprisingly terrifying. He had a robust body that did not match his face at all. Every muscle seemed to have a terrifying, explosive power. His forehead was full of wrinkles, and his back was slightly arched, as if he was a little hunchbacked. However, the faintly discernible light flashed with turtle scales, as if he was an old man carrying a turtle shell. The demon king of the dragon-elephant-turtle clan, Ao Jiang. There is no need for 6 hours. The ancients will definitely be routed, Ao Jiang said in a low voice. A bright light flashed across his dusky face, and he was full of confidence. I wonder if we will be able to meet that ancient god Wu Feng. Zongyong clenched his fists, and his fighting spirit was clear. He will definitely be there, Ao Jiang said in a low voice. Ao Jiang said in a deep voice, the 7 great ancient gods have supreme positions in their respective ancient regions. If we launch a large-scale attack on the southern ancient region, ancient god Wu Feng will definitely not be a coward and will escape without a trace. Zongyong's lips curled into a cold smile, and his eyes shone brightly. If we can kill ancient god Wu Feng, we will have made a great contribution. Ao Jiang narrowed his eyes and slowly shook his head. In terms of strength, Wu Li is on par with you and me. It will be easy for us to defeat him if we work together, but to kill him, difficult. Is that so? Zongyong frowned. Ao Jiang nodded and said, there is no need to be greedy. As long as the ancient southern region is broken, we will have made the greatest contribution. Killing ancient god Wu Feng will only be icing on the cake. If we want to kill him, we will inevitably be injured. There is no need to bite off more than we can chew. Zongyong thought for a while and then laughed. Old Jiang, you are still the most meticulous. You are right. It is enough to break the ancient southern region. Ao Jiang's expression was still calm, and his eyes shone brightly. Compared to the complacency of the demon race, the ancient race was in despair. Not only were there corpses everywhere and rivers of blood flowed, but the morale of the ancient race experts was also low. Everyone frowned, and their faces were filled with disappointment and worry. In the face of such an attack, even if there were a few more ancient regions, they might not be able to defeat the demon race, let alone the ancient southern region. They retreated as they fought. Fortunately, the ancient race experts were far more united than the sorcerer race and the demon race. With ancient god Wu Feng, Wu Li, overseeing the situation, all the ancient race experts surged toward him. No matter what, they needed a backbone. For example, the sorcerer emperor to the sorcerer race and the human emperor to the human race. The emperor of the ancient southern region was ancient god Wu Feng, Wu Li, dressed in a loose robe, The man had neat short hair, and his eyes were dim. Standing against the wind, Wooly looked at the flames of war that could be faintly seen in the distance. His brows were tightly knitted together, and his expression was grave. It was not that the demon race had come without a trace this time, but that no one expected the demon race, who had always been active in the north and northeast regions of the mainland, to suddenly launch a sneak attack on the ancient southern region. It was out of everyone's expectations. When did the demon race become so cunning? Wooly had many questions in his heart, but it was difficult for him to get an answer. They are well versed in the art of war. If the demon race had such strength, they would have defeated the sorcerer race in the Second War of the Sorcerer Race. It is really strange. Wooly sighed as he thought to himself. The thought flashed past his mind, but there was no need to think too much about it. The situation was already urgent, and there was no way out. What should he do? There was no way out. With his strength, it was easy for him to escape. However, as the ancient god of the ancient southern region, his people were all here. How could he leave? If even he left, how could the ancient southern region survive? How many of his people would survive? He would never do such a cowardly act. Furthermore, Wooly turned around and looked at his residence not far away. His eyes were filled with worry. I can only hope that we can hold on for a little longer. Wooly pondered. I hope that the reinforcements of the sorcerer race and the other ancient clans will arrive as soon as possible. Perhaps there is still hope that the ancient southern region will suffer fewer losses and retain some experts of the ancient southern region. Linger, protect young mistress, Wooly said slowly. Yes, master. Huang Ling cupped her hands and said. Song Jing, follow me. Wooly's eyes instantly lit up with a cold light. Fight the demon race. Yes, master. Feng Song and Feng Jing were also filled with fighting spirit. Whoosh, light flashed. Lin Feng finally arrived. Piercing through the faintly broken protective wall, spiritual energy leaked out in all directions, scattered and intertwined. Just from the destruction of the protective wall, one could tell how intense the battle was. The protective wall existed to warn others and prevent spirit energy from leaking out. However, it had become useless now. It was obviously done by the demon race. Boom, boom. Even from afar, he could clearly hear the sound of battle. It was like thunder piercing his ears. Lin Feng's gaze was deep. The violent beating in his chest became more and more intense. He felt as if he had been enlightened. It was too familiar. It's here. The feeling of the heart's connection is here. Lin Feng pursed his lips and gritted his teeth. Was it because his grandfather was in danger? Was the blood of his relatives flowing in his veins, telling him something? It must be. Lin Feng held the doomsday spear tightly in his right hand. His eyes were cold. He did not stop at all and rushed out. He was not a righteous person. The life and death of the ancient clans had nothing to do with him. Even the ancient Feng clan's clansmen were not that important. However, his grandfather had to be saved. Xiao, Lin Feng's heart sank as he dashed out. Judging from the intensity of his heartbeat, the intensity of the battle and the intensity of the danger were definitely far beyond his expectations. The demon race had indeed come prepared this time. Chi! Lin Feng's eyes were cold and murderous. As he rushed, he could see the demon race scattered everywhere. Looking at their ferocious faces, he thought of the scenes in the kingdom of Maru. When the doomsday spear's cold light appeared, it killed directly. There was no mercy to speak of. Right now, the demon race was his enemy. He hated them to the core and would not rest until they were dead. The behavior of the demon race was outrageous. These beasts. Lin Feng's expression was cold. He could see the demon race wreaking havoc everywhere. Similarly, there were many old, weak, women, and children among the ancient clans. They could not escape in time and were caught by the demon race. Some were tortured by the demon race. Some were even madly humiliated by the demon race. They were inhumane. Even if they could take human form and speak human language, their nature was still ugly. They were still beasts. Go to hell. Lin Feng's voice was cold and trembling. Looking at the ancient clan women who were covered in scabs and were about to be raped after death, that scene made his heart wrench in pain. Several Demon Clan experts from the Wolf Clan and the Fox Clan laughed wantonly as they licked and tore at the ancient clan women's flesh. Their cries and screams were mixed with agonizing screams. How could anyone remain calm? It was a tragedy. Chi, chi, chi. Blood splattered everywhere and even splattered on his face. Lin Feng did not care. He was filled with hatred. Now all that was left was anger. He was extremely angry. Goddamn beasts. Lin Feng's eyes were blood red. His body trembled, and even the Doomsday Spear was changing violently. The blue light absorbed the blood as if it could feel its master's anger. The connection made the Doomsday Spear hum with a strong killing intent. Kill! Kill! Everywhere it passed, it destroyed everything in its path. Lin Feng could no longer suppress the anger in his heart after witnessing the bloodshed and the atrocities with his own eyes. This was human nature. It touched the softest part of his heart. No human could tolerate it. Demons, you deserve to die. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and bathed in the bloody massacre. Chapter 1483. He went crazy in the midst of killing. He continued to grow in the midst of killing. The number of demons was more than tens of thousands. It was impossible to kill them all. How many could he kill? Lin Feng did not know, nor did he want to know. As long as he knew his goal and his responsibility, that was enough. His comprehension of the spear, Dao, became deeper and deeper. Lin Feng slowly advanced on his path of the spear Dao by killing time and time again. His thoughts and battle intent merged together. The feeling of the spear was incomparably deep. The realm of the spear was also comprehended by his heart. Many times, and many things only required an opportunity, a small change. He had cultivated in the Stepping Star Mansion for so long, and his comprehension of the spear had exceeded a month. However, he had never experienced such an unforgettable feeling. Every time he attacked with the spear, it seemed to make his heart move even deeper. Comprehension. Comprehension through battle. Battle was the best way to break through. Almost all of the 12 human elites who had broken through to the Saint King realm during the God-making plan had broken through because of this. They had gained insights from the battles in the land of reality, and the current Lin Feng was the same. Unknowingly, he had entered a complete state. His heart and mind were condensed together, and his body was completely merged with the Doomsday Spear. A familiar rhythm kept coming. The power of one person could be said to be crazy and terrifying. Kill. Lin Feng, at the back of the demon army, started a crazy killing mode. One step took 10 people, 10 steps took 1,000 people. Blood splattered everywhere he passed. Not a single person was left alive where the spear light landed. The demons died upon seeing the light. His strength was completely unleashed. The war continued. The demons were closing in step by step. They were now completely deep in the ancient southern region and had the upper hand. However, they finally had no choice but to gradually stop. For the first time, they were forced to retreat by the defense of the ancient race. The phoenix flames burned fiercely. A huge phoenix appeared in the sky above the ancient southern region. The flames completely engulfed the demon army's attack. The demon army's vanguard, a few sage experts, could not escape in time and were directly swallowed by the phoenix flames. Tens of thousands of soldiers were engulfed by the sea of flames. Even if they were touched by the flames, they would instantly be burned and die without a burial ground. Wooly was here. He led his disciples and his clansmen to lead the ancient race army to face the demons head-on for the first time. Bam! Bam! The flames were dazzling and blazing. The army of ancient race experts led by Wu Li displayed the true might of the ancient race. The explosive power and offensive power of an ancient god caused the monster race to shrink back and find it difficult to advance. The situation instantly fell into a deadlock. Boom! Boom! Fireballs burned and rained down like meteors, landing directly in the midst of the demon clan's camp. Roars of rage could be heard. The morale of the ancient race experts under Wu Li's command was like a rainbow. Now that they had turned the situation around for the first time, their confidence was greatly boosted. The attacks became more and more intense. However, how long could he last? After the demon race's army was fully assembled and the two demon kings appeared, would the ancients still be able to stop them? These were all unknowns. You finally appeared. Zhong Yong smiled coldly. He will definitely come, Ao Jiang said in a low voice. It's just that he will come earlier than expected. Zhong Yong laughed and said, the ancient race has always been united. It seems that this so-called ancient god Wu Feng is even more soft-hearted and benevolent. Ao Jiang narrowed his eyes, and there was a glint in his eyes. Wu Li is more foolish than I thought. It seems that he wants to fight to the death with us. Zhong Yong frowned slightly and said hesitantly, will there be trouble? What trouble? Ao Jiang said coldly, there is no need to be anxious. Let's slowly exhaust his energy. When most of his energy is depleted, you and I will work together to kill him. Even if we are injured, it will only be light injuries. At that time, it will be another great merit. The seven ancient gods had a relatively high status. They were at the top of the pyramid of the ancient race. Each of them was a thorn in the side of the demon race. Once the ancient gods joined the battle, behind the wizard race's army, their offensive and destructive power would increase by more than one level. Now that there was a chance to kill one of them, Ao Jiang was naturally very happy. Although killing ancient god Wu Feng was not as good as breaching the ancient southern region, but who would complain about having more battle merits? Zhong Yong and Ao Jiang looked at each other and smiled knowingly. However, at that moment, not good king. A two-faced lion demon race elite warrior hurried over. Why are you so flustered? Zhong Yong was very displeased. Ao Jiang was also puzzled. Demon King, there is a human ancient martial art practitioner behind the army. He is holding a long spear and is slaughtering our demon race army. The two-faced lion demon race elite warrior was shocked. Human ancient martial art practitioner? Zhong Yong was stunned. You are making a fuss over nothing, Ao Jiang said in a low voice. He is just a human ancient martial art practitioner. What is there to be afraid of? We have so many demon race elite warriors. We can just surround and annihilate him. The two-faced lion demon race elite warrior's face turned pale. He said hurriedly, Demon King, the human ancient martial art practitioner, is extremely powerful. He has killed more than 10,000 people. None of our demon race elite warriors are his match. Zhong Yong frowned and said unhappily, Bastard, you are boosting the morale of others and diminishing your own. A mere human has frightened all of you to this extent. You are a disgrace to the two-faced lion demon race. As he said that, he spat. Zhong Yong roared, Where is Zhong Qing? His voice was wild and instantly spread. In an instant, King, Zhong Qing cupped his hands with a cold expression. He was the strongest warrior in the two-faced lion demon race other than Zhong Yong. He had also participated in the commander competition and obtained a good ranking. He was at the peak of the King's Sage level. Go, send someone to get rid of the bugs that are causing trouble behind the army, Zhong Yong ordered. Yes, King. Zhong Qing bowed and turned to leave. It was extremely domineering. Lin Feng, one man and one spear, charged straight in. Not a single demon race elite warrior could get close to him. Just the strong air current brought about by the Doomsday Spear was enough to kill all the demon race below the Sage level. With Lin Feng's current strength, he could even kill a King Sage expert in one move, let alone a Sage-level existence. They were just targets for his spear practice. As for the consumption, Lin Feng did not consume any energy at all. His terrifying physique made his physical strength limitless. This kind of attack was like an ordinary spear practice. The consumption of physical strength was not as fast as the recovery speed. Regardless of strength or speed, he had reached the limits of the Douling world. He did not need to borrow stellar source energy. Just the most direct physical strength was enough to kill a Sage expert. A killing machine. However, the current Lin Feng was in a semi-conscious state. He knew what he was doing, but he did not know what he was doing. It was not controlled by his heart. but by his body. Kill. Every time he killed, it ignited the way of massacre in the depths of his heart. It was one of the clearest ways of strength in the Ursa Major constellation. It was also the way of constellation that Lin Feng had the deepest understanding of before he comprehended the way of metal and way of space. Now it had improved again. Not only that, it was an absolute sublimation of the way of the spear. The way of the spear, which was originally at a bottleneck, finally had a great improvement. The road to the starry sky, the understanding of his own way of the spear, was beginning to take shape. It was like a glass window that was being broken bit by bit. Gradually, he could see the road ahead. Improvement. Killing allowed one's strength to increase. The first time he comprehended the way of the spear of the starry sky was in the midst of killing. It was during the massacre against the experts of the 8 Major Territory Alliance. This time it was the same. The feeling was getting deeper. He chose to attack from the rear of the Demon Clan army, so that he could have a clearer understanding of killing. He wanted to find the existence of this way, train his spear, and train the existence of his heart. Lin Feng's mind was unusually clear at this moment. He was clear-headed in his own way, clear-headed in the Doomsday Spear. He did not have any other thoughts. In his semi-conscious state, all his thoughts were on the way of the spear. He kept moving forward. The efficiency of his comprehension was more than 100 times or 1,000 times better than his normal state. It was like an epiphany, but the epiphany was static. And now, it was dynamic. They were here. The top experts of the Demon Clan had finally appeared. After Lin Feng slaughtered countless people, the Demon Clan finally had a King Sage. It was a super expert of the Two-Faced Lion Clan. It was a small team led by the Green Camel Lion, Zhongqing. There were 5 King Sages in the team. 2 of them were beginner King Sages, 2 were intermediate King Sages, and 1 was advanced King Sages. Look, it's the Green Camel Lion team. Great, they are finally here. This despicable human is finished. Kill this human and avenge our brothers. In the Demon Clan army, the Demon Clan shouted wildly. Their morale was high. They had already lost their courage after being killed by Lin Feng. They did not even dare to approach him. When they saw the King Sages of the Two-Faced Lion Clan arrive, they were excited as if they had seen their saviors. Their morale was high. The 5 Two-Faced Lion Clan experts were arrogant. They did not care about humans at all. They appeared casually. 2 of them charged at the front, while the other 3 stayed behind. To them, such a mission was as easy as lifting a finger. It was too easy. But the moment they attacked, they knew who was stronger. Roar! 2 Two-Faced Lion Clan experts, at the beginner Saint King Sages, attacked from the left and right. Their wood origin energy was fully displayed. Their hands turned into claws, and a cold green light flashed. They pounced at Lin Feng fiercely, as if they were going to tear him into pieces. However, when they got close, the 2 experts' expressions changed drastically. Horrifying. An extremely horrifying aura and a deep blue light spot appeared inexplicably with a strange arc. The surrounding space seemed to have been sealed. It was an extremely dense, murderous aura that completely enveloped them. Everything around them seemed to have disappeared. The space seemed to have been changed. They could not sense anything. There was no trace of star source energy. Time seemed to have stopped. Chi. The appearance of the Doomsday Spear caused a splash of blood. It was bright and dazzling. Chi. Another spear strike. It was like a flash of blue light. On the other side, the Two-Faced Lion Clan expert's eyes widened. His head had been separated from his body. The 2 King Sages were like fallen leaves in the wind. They were smashed into pieces before they could even get close. They did not even have the chance to make a sound. Death came very quickly. The Demon Clan experts all widened their eyes in horror. No way. Chapter 1484. Dead. 2 Saint Kings of the Two-Faced Lion Clan died, just like that. It was a clean and neat death, which was extremely unreal. The Monster Clan experts who were shouting in joy and excitement just now all had their mouths wide open and were completely silent. In an instant, it was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. The entire space seemed to be frozen and time stood still. However, this was just the beginning. The Green Camel Lion team, led by Zhong Qing, was one of the strongest teams in the Two-Faced Lion clan. There were 2 Saint Kings of the middle level and 1 Saint King of the high level. They had underestimated the enemy and fell behind. They saw blood splatter, and before they could figure out what had happened, a terrifying, murderous aura had already descended from the front. Lin Feng's movements were quite simple. With 2 simple spears, he killed 2 Saint Kings of the lower level. Then, with a raise of his spear, he killed one of the Saint Kings of the middle-level Two-Faced Lion experts. There was resistance, but that was all. The blue light of the Doomsday Spear directly penetrated the middle-level Saint King's defense. The Monster Clan expert's defense was far inferior to the Sorcerer Clan's. Against a heaven-grade blue-grade treasure and Lin Feng's extreme power, it was not a contest of strength at all. Even if it was a middle-level Saint King, his Star Source energy was only slightly stronger. To Lin Feng, was there a difference? The answer was obviously no. Continue. Lin Feng did not look for the remaining middle-level Saint King. Instead, he turned to the only Saint King of the high-level Two-Faced Lion Clan's expert. It was not deliberate. It was just the rhythm of his body. It was the most direct reaction, not for anything else, but because he was even closer. Wah! The Two-Faced Lion Clan's expert was horrified. Everything that happened in an instant made him completely unable to react. His heart was already filled with fear. How could the battle continue? Chi! 3 spears. 1 spear directly injured him. 1 spear broke through his defense, and the 3rd spear announced the result. Dead. It was like practicing the spear. The difference was that this time, the Star Source energy was consumed. Saint Kings were different from Saint Kings. Saint Kings had Star Source energy with them. No matter how strong their physical strength was, they would not be able to kill Saint Kings. Star Source energy was the most mysterious and the most powerful energy. It was the symbol of Saint Kings. Saint-level astral origin energy was only enlightenment, but Saint King-level astral origin energy, with the addition of the Tao of Constellations, was truly a part of the astral ocean. This ocean was vast and boundless, with no end in sight. The Tao of the Spear was also a small part of it. As for Lin Feng, for the first time, he looked down on her. Huff, huff, his breathing became heavier. Lin Feng's chest heaved up and down, and his eyes shone. With a calm heart, he tempered his spear technique again and again under his state of mind. Finally, he shattered the fragment of the starry sky border. Especially the last 3 spear strikes that killed the Saint King realm Two-Faced Lion Race Grand Elder. It was as if they were made by the heavens, displaying the Tao of Slaughter's spear to its extreme. There were no complicated spear techniques. It was merely the practice and breakthrough of the Tao of the spear. Only a small portion of the spear art realm could be grasped. That's right. Yes, that's right. This is my Tao of the spear, a path that belongs to me and only me. Awakening. Lin Feng finally woke up, immersed in the edge of a breakthrough, immersed in a dynamic epiphany. His heart and mind intersected to enjoy this feeling. It was as if he had peeked into a part of the starry sky and felt that distant and mysterious existence, that majestic power. The main star of the Ursa Major constellation was right in front of him, and his spear was perfectly integrated with his body. Everything was so natural. When the conditions were right, success would come naturally. Traces of starry sky energy seeped into his body, and wisps of Tao of constellations appeared in the small universe in his body. Even his Doomsday Spear seemed to be nourished. That was a gift from the heavens, a change in the soul, a change in the spirit. The demon race was silent. They were completely stunned. Looking at Lin Feng, who was suspended in midair in a black martial attire, not a single demon race powerhouse dared to approach him. Even the remaining Saint King realm powerhouse of the Green Camel Lion team was scared out of his wits. The strength of the human in front of him was too terrifying. He was invincible. This kind of horror was deeply ingrained in the hearts of every demon race member. They were scared out of their wits. They did not have any fighting spirit left. In the eyes of the demon race, Lin Feng was equal to Azura, the killing god. They had never thought that a human could be so terrifying, and they had never felt that death was so close. As long as the spear in this human's hand moved, they would die without a burial place. It was a strange scene. Millions of demon race powerhouses surrounded a human, but they were scared out of their wits. This was strength. The deterrence of strength was the most direct and most obvious to the demon race. This was because the demon race believed in the philosophy of the strong and the barbaric rules. The strong were respected, and the weak were prey to the strong. Lin Feng was too powerful, and at this moment, back off. A violent roar sounded from behind the demon race. A man in green robes came, and his majestic aura was unmistakable. His two faces revealed a strong, murderous intent, and his muscles were bulging. His perfect lines were accompanied by the surge of stellar source energy. The strength of a Saint King realm powerhouse burst out, and his aura even overshadowed Lin Feng's. Green Camel Lion, Zhong Qing. He was a top powerhouse of the demon race, and his strength was almost comparable to the 12 demon stars. He was the leader of the Green Camel Lion team, and he was also the strongest powerhouse of the two-faced Lion Demon clan besides Zhong Yang. He was Zhong Yang's most trusted right-hand man. His arrival boosted the morale of the demon race, which had been low in morale by quite a bit. The demon race experts all had joyful looks on their faces, filled with hope and anticipation. It's King Qing. We're saved. We must kill this demon. The powerhouses of the demon race retreated and made space. They knew very well that their existence was unnecessary, and they could not hurt Lin Feng at all. Even though so many powerhouses had died, this human powerhouse was like a deep and unknown lake, and there was no sign of weakness at all. Strength against strength. Human. Zhong Qing shouted and instantly exploded. He was just suppressing his anger just now, and seeing the entire Green Camel Lion team being killed, how could he not be angry? These were all his loyal subordinates and brothers. Needless to say, this human was a mission given to him by Demon King Zhong Yang, and now he had embarrassed him. Boom! Zhong Qing finally made his move. His green robes shone brightly, and his speed was very fast. Facing Lin Feng, who was like a wooden puppet, Zhong Qing did not hold back. He did not attack at all, but once he attacked, it was like a thunderbolt. Kill! But he had underestimated the human in front of him. Lin Feng's strength was not weaker than his to begin with, and now that he had fully comprehended the way of the spear and evolved from the way of the massacre, he had embarked on the way of the spear that belonged only to him. He had been reborn. Not only had his mind and spirit changed, but even the Doomsday Spear had changed. The blue light was completely penetrating. It was no longer blue, but pure indigo. The Heaven-grade treasure had leveled up. The surrounding Demon Clan experts were dumbfounded. They had never seen such a strange scene, and many of them even doubted whether their eyes were playing tricks on them. However, the indigo light had already appeared, and the spear's ability was fully displayed. It appeared like a doomsday sky, mixed with the flow of time, slow and rapid. It was deeply integrated with the Doomsday Spear, and Lin Feng had already comprehended part of the Doomsday Spear's ability. Doomsday Darkness. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He could feel his body's condition clearly and freely. The Doomsday Spear was like a part of his body, and the darkness led by the indigo light covered the entire battlefield. The surrounding Demon Clan experts all exclaimed, and even Zhong Qing's expression changed. Time seemed to have stopped, and the sensing of aura slowed down. The geographical advantage had completely disappeared. No, it had turned into the human's advantage. Damn it! Zhong Qing's expression was ugly, and a yellow light appeared in his hand. He had also summoned an innate treasure. As one of the top experts in the Two-Faced Lion clan, he was also bestowed with an innate treasure, but this yellow light was undoubtedly the difference between the light of a firefly and the light of the moon when compared to the indigo-grade light. The difference was more than one level. Chi, chi, chi. One spear, another spear. Lin Feng stabbed out as if he was practicing his spear. However, Every spear strike was so strange that Zhongqing felt like he couldn't keep his head and tail together. It was as if the spears were stabbing out from the void, sometimes fast and sometimes slow. The rhythm was completely controlled by the opponent, and Zhongqing's active attack instantly turned passive. And this was just the beginning. The way of the spear of the starry sky realm. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled as he pondered. At this moment, he truly understood the realm of the spear of Zenith Dragon Peak and Sacred Master Cloud Spear. It was a whole new level, a starry sky realm level. It wasn't only the control of the spear, but also the control of the body and the mind. It was also the control and enhancement of the Tao of Constellation. If the Tao of the Spear of the Sage King realm was still at the astral origin energy level, then the Tao of the Spear of the Starry Sky realm had already advanced to the Tao of Constellation level. The change was more than one level. Clouds rise, clouds part. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled as he pondered. At this moment, Sacred Master Cloud Spear's spear art appeared in his mind. It was much clearer than before, especially the clouds part. He had always been puzzled. However, as his spear art's realm increased, everything changed. His understanding of the clouds part was like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. No wonder Sacred Master Cloud Spear said that if I could comprehend the clouds part, I would be able to climb to the top of the pyramid of the Douling world. The clouds part is a true Starry Sky realm spear art. Lin Feng was deep in thought. The Starry Sky realm spear art was much more powerful than before, and the feeling of control was much clearer to him. If it was before he comprehended the two-faced Lion Clan's expert, he might have to spend a lot of effort to deal with him. But now, with the control of the spear art, the enhancement of the Tao of Constellation, and the power of the Doomsday Spear, he was 100% confident that he could defeat him easily even without using the Demon Underworld lock. I can't waste any more time. Lin Feng's eyes were deep. He couldn't help but tighten his grip on the Doomsday Spear. He still had many things to do. Chapter 1485. He was in a sorry state. Zhongqing, the strongest person in the Two-Faced Lion tribe, was in a dire situation. When he accepted the mission, he did not take it to heart at all. He even felt that it was a waste of talent. To think that he, a peak Saint King, was sent to deal with a mere human. However, he had to obey the Demon King's orders. Therefore, Zhongqing only sent his brothers to take action. With his status, it was undoubtedly overkill. However, the result was far beyond his expectations. This human was terrifyingly strong. Previously, his brothers were killed by Lin Feng, which had already shocked him and made him feel disbelief. Now that he was fighting with Lin Feng face to face, he felt a chill down his spine. Only then did he understand how unfathomable this human was. Facing him, it was even more terrifying than facing the Demon King. Pum, pum. In the darkness, Zhongqing blocked in a sorry state. The Two-Faced Lion tribe had their natural talent. The power of forest wood was endless. Streaks of green light condensed into a dense forest, firmly protecting his body. In addition, the Two-Faced Lion tribe's two faces had extremely sharp facial features. There were no blind spots in their vision, and their reaction speed was extremely fast. Therefore, although he was at a disadvantage, Zhongqing was not killed. He was only at a disadvantage. Terrifying speed. This human's speed is terrifying to such an extent. He is even faster than the Demon King. Coupled with the geographical advantage and the power of the indigo grade innate treasure, he is simply invincible. Clenching his teeth, Zhongqing's expression was ugly. He had a very high opinion of Lin Feng in his heart. In this match, he could clearly see his opponent's strength. However, what Zhongqing did not know was that Lin Feng had not even used his full strength. Extreme speed and extreme strength. Every time he used them, he would be suppressed by the Douling world. This was extremely stressful for the warrior, and their stamina would be depleted very quickly. For ordinary warriors, the world pressure did not exist. To be precise, it was negligible because they were still unable to shake the Douling world. However, Lin Feng was different. Like which Emperor Jiang, reaching the limit had already threatened the balance of the Douling world. The closer it was to the limit, the greater the pressure. Even though the Douling world was passive, it did not mean that it had no power. If the limit was exceeded, it would cause a huge commotion in the Douling world and anger the heavens of the Douling world. As for dealing with Zhongqing, Lin Feng did not need to use his maximum speed at all. The difference between their bodies was rather large. Zhongqing's physique was not his forte. Therefore, when he fought with Zhongqing, there was not much difference in terms of speed, strength, or strength. There was not much of an advantage. Since that was the case, why waste so much energy to oppose the heavens and exhaust one's strength? Moreover, he had only been testing the gun. He had yet to display his true strength. Not a pure human bloodline. I'm afraid it's a mutation caused by the mixed blood race. That's why he has such a terrifying constitution. Zhongqing pondered as he continued to block and defend. He became more and more alarmed. The surrounding darkness seemed to have even sealed the space. Coupled with the fact that his speed was limited, he could not keep up with Lin Feng's rhythm. If he was not good at defense, he would have long been killed by that ghostly spear light. Thank goodness, Zhongqing thought to himself. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead. Thank goodness he hasn't used the mysteries of the Starry Sky Realm's spear technique. Otherwise, his heart trembled as Zhongqing's expression changed. However, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, Zhongqing's eyes widened. No, impossible. This spear technique? A majestic aura leaked out. The golden starlight caused the astral source energy to fluctuate violently. In the blink of an eye, the situation changed. Zhongqing felt it the most. The previous spear techniques were merely fleeting, but this spear technique was completely different from before. His face was filled with shock. Zhongqing's only hope was extinguished. He had originally planned to use the powerful defense and recovery abilities of the two-faced lion race to exhaust Lin Feng, but now it was impossible. He knew clearly that he had been forced into a desperate situation. Damn it! Zhongqing's expression was cold. His eyes were cold. You want to kill me? Human, I will make you regret it. Roar! Zhongqing roared furiously. His expression was crazed. The bestial nature in his body was completely unleashed. When enemies met on a narrow path, the courageous would win. With his status, he would not be driven into a corner by a human. He had to flee in front of so many people. The noble royal blood of the two-faced lion race flowed in his body. He, Zhongqing, was the pride of the two-faced lion race. If I die, we die together. Zhongqing unleashed all his strength. Innate skill, forest of God's punishment. In the ancient southern region, the battle was getting more and more intense. The ancient race experts led by ancient goddess Wu Feng, Wu Li, and a portion of the station's sorcerer tribe experts did their best to resist the demon race. In particular, Wu Li's phoenix flames combined together. The long-range attacks of the Saint King-level ancient race experts created a lot of trouble for the demon race army. The mid-range and long-range attacks of the heavenly gods were quite powerful, especially the fire element. Furthermore, it was the combination of the powers of the ancient race. This was even more awe-inspiring. However, the demon race was obviously not easy to deal with. The two demon kings leading the army this time were Zhong Yong, who had extraordinary battle power. The demon king of the dragon elephant turtle race, Ao Jiang, was astute. He was a famous general of the demon race and was well versed in both civil and military matters. Under his leadership, the demon race made full use of their advantage in numbers and slowly nibbled away at the ancient race. They kept dividing their forces. The demon race outnumbered the ancient race by more than 10,000 times. The ancient race did not have the strength to deal with such a shocking difference in numbers. Ao Jiang used Zhong Yong to restrain Wu Li and sent the other demon race troops to wipe out the entire ancient southern region. Everywhere they went, blood flowed like a river. They divided their forces into hundreds of directions. However, the number of troops in each direction was more than 10 times that of the ancient race experts. As for Wu Li, there was only one person. This was an unfair battle, and even more so, a bloody massacre. The demon race sacrificed so many experts in the ancient northern region to restrain them. They were very confident. Lam Tok Ti had even considered all the possible scenarios. The current situation was just one of them. They have retreated. Ao Zhang's eyes were cold and his lips curled. Just as the military advisor said, the deeper you go into the ancient southern region, the purer your bloodline and the higher your status in the ancient race. Faced with such a huge army, Wu Li will definitely sacrifice himself to protect the bloodline of the ancient race in the ancient southern region and stall for time. However, can he escape? Ao Zhang's eyes were filled with mockery. Reel in the net. The demon race had already surrounded the ancient southern region. Even the space was sealed. No one could enter or leave. The demon race was determined to win this battle. No matter how much Wu Li protected the ancient race elites, he would only be delaying his death. The possibility of delaying the reinforcements from the sorcerer race army was almost zero. There was no time at all. The next step is Wu Li. Zhong Yong and I are more powerful than him. If we have the help of a few high-level Sage King experts, we will be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Capture the leader first. As long as the spiritual symbol of the ancient southern region, Wu Li, falls, the ancient southern region will definitely collapse. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. There will not be any survivors in the ancient southern region. The demon race will be able to win this battle easily with the smallest price. Ao Jiang was very confident. His plan was very thorough. Behind the army, boom, kaboom, rumble. The entire ground seemed to be shaking. All the experts of the demon race held their breaths as they watched the black figure in front of them retreat. A figure covered in blood stood upright with a long spear in his hand. Although he had suffered serious injuries, the flickering golden light of the long spear brought forth an indigo glow that shocked everyone present. Bang! He landed heavily. It was a huge beast-like monster, the original form of the two-faced lion race. Fresh blood had already dyed the two-faced lion's mane red. His skin was torn and his flesh was exposed. A ghastly bloody hole was imprinted in his eyes. His head was twisted at an irregular angle. The most terrifying thing was that his abdomen had been completely blown apart. His organs were empty and his blood was deep. Zhong Qing. In a huge hole, Zhong Qing's corpse was no longer breathing. The number one expert of the two-faced lion race, who was comparable to the demon star, was now beheaded in front of countless demon race experts. He had been defeated by a human warrior. Dead. Pa! His right hand that was holding the doomsday spear tightened. Lin Feng's eyes were cold. He had been injured. Facing a true demon race expert who was not afraid of death, even if he was much stronger than him, he still had to pay a high price to kill him. In front of the two-faced lion race's powerful innate ability, he had suffered a lot. Even if Yin Qi's power was unstoppable, the two-faced lion race expert's fighting spirit was still high. He had died with a bang. He is a true warrior. Unfortunately, they are on opposite sides. There is no possibility of coexistence. Demon race, Lin Feng looked down. This battle had given him a deep warning. Although his strength had increased tremendously and he had the best body constitution in the Douling world, he was not invincible. He was not immortal. Even a number one expert of the Douling world, which Emperor Jiang, was injured, let alone him. He must not underestimate his enemy, especially the demon race, who were extremely bestial. They could face death more calmly than humans. The battle just now was still clearly imprinted in his mind. It had been a long time since he had experienced such a thrilling battle. Sighing in his heart, Lin Feng frowned slightly. The surrounding demon race experts were horrified. Although he was injured, these ordinary demon race experts did not dare to get close to him, let alone attack him. In fact, he was not afraid of these demon race experts. Their advantage in numbers was useless against him. Extreme speed. If he wanted to, he could leave the battlefield at any time. No demon race expert could stop him. However, this was not what he wanted. This trip was for his grandfather. This is going to be troublesome. Lin Feng's eyes flickered with worry. He was injured. Chapter 1486. A monster race powerhouse with the strength of Monster Star would naturally have a strong foundation. If he insisted on fighting to the death, it was normal for him to be injured. To be precise, if Lin Feng didn't have a strong constitution and rich combat experience, he might have been dragged to the underworld by Zhong Qing, especially when the Peak Saint King inner core exploded at the end. It was so close that he couldn't block it at all. Even with his extreme speed, Lin Feng was still injured quite badly. Normally, this kind of injury wouldn't be a problem. With his clone's insane constitution, he could recover in half a month. But now he was in big trouble. Phew! Exhaling lightly, Lin Feng's eyes were burning. Looking around at the monster race powerhouses who were both terrified and eager to make a move, his mind was much clearer now. The improvement in his spear technique caused by the slaughter had undergone a qualitative change, and he had fully awakened. Even though he hated the monster race's cruel acts, he couldn't kill all of them by himself. Most importantly, his mission this time wasn't to save the ancient southern region. The ancient race wasn't the human race. Even though they were one of the 3 great races of the human race, even the human race was divided into 9 great territories, the 8 Great Territories Alliance, and the southern region, let alone the ancient race. He was only worried about his grandfather, Feng Chao. There's no need to worry, Lin Feng thought to himself and nodded. In an instant, whoosh, his body flashed like a shooting star and disappeared in an instant. The monster race powerhouses who had been eager to make a move reacted instantly. Uproar mixed with all kinds of angry roars, and chaos ensued. Capture that human. Damn it, where did he run to? He killed so many of our brothers. We can't let him run away. Find him quickly. Roars rang out continuously as countless Demon Clan experts surrounded them, forming a dense black mass. However, there was no trace of Lin Feng. The only survivor of Zhong Qing's team, the two-faced lion powerhouse, was already pale with fright. The other Saint Realm powerhouses might not have seen it clearly, but he saw it clearly. Not only did this human powerhouse kill Zhong Qing perfectly, but the speed he used when he left was also terrifying. Extreme speed. The two-faced lion powerhouse was completely stunned. Where did this human come from? Who was he? The demon race naturally did not know. However, Lam Tokti knew, the humans knew, the shamans knew, and the name Lin Feng resounded like thunder in heavenly spirit. Bang! Bang! Thump! His heart was beating extremely fast, but Lin Feng's expression was extremely ugly at this moment. The burst of speed added another burden to his already injured body. However, the true pain came from the depths of his heart. It came from a familiar rhythm, as if the blood in his body was burning. The calling became stronger and stronger. This was the feeling of being connected by blood, a call from the deepest level. It was like a warning, an omen that appeared. Like a pulse, it was unprecedentedly strong. Danger, Grandpa. It must be very dangerous. We can't waste any more time. We have to find Grandfather as soon as possible and rescue him. Lin Feng's eyes narrowed. Enduring the pain, he looked around and sensed the rumbling battle auras around him. Since the ancient race and the demon race were at war with Grandfather status, he would definitely be at the forefront of the war. Therefore, as long as he could find the most intense battlefield, which was the most direct confrontation between the ancient race and the demon race, he would most likely be able to find Grandfather. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He turned his head and clenched his right fist. There he was. The ancient race was completely suppressed. To be precise, they were not suppressed on one side of the battlefield, but on the entire situation. After Demon King Ao Jiang carried out the plan and divided his forces, he accurately hit the ancient race's weak spot. The deepest part of the ancient southern region contained the ancient race's most outstanding and purest bloodline. As one of the 7 ancient gods of the ancient race, Wu Li had the responsibility and obligation to protect it. To the powerhouses of the ancient southern region, This was their foundation. If their foundation was destroyed, what was the point even if they won this war? Retreat. They fought and retreated, but they had to retreat. Under Wu Li's leadership, the ancient race powerhouses formed a neat formation and maintained their control over the demon race. They attacked with all their might. However, Ao Jiang had already met up with Zhong Yang. The two demon kings looked at each other and smiled. They were clearly in a good mood. Looking at the ancient race who were retreating, it was as if they saw the dawn of victory. Isn't this called driving a dog into a corner? Zhong Yang sneered. Although Wu Li is powerful, in terms of strategy, he is far inferior to the military advisor. Ao Jiang's eyes sparkled, and he smiled faintly. His every move is within the military advisor's expectations. Zhong Yang's lips curled up, and he laughed. Wouldn't it be better if he hid inside since the beginning? Is it too late to rush back now? How can there be such hesitation in a war? What a soft-hearted person. Ao Jiang also smiled. It's a pity that he doesn't understand. Zhong Yang raised his head and looked into the distance. His eyes were bright. If I really wanted to destroy his foundation, would he even have the chance to realize it? The two monster kings looked at each other and laughed heartily. They were both arrogant. It was because this war had been won too easily. **T. Wu Li's expression changed. Wu Li was at the center of the ancient race army. He was not only the spiritual pillar of the ancient southern region, but also the most powerful existence. Beside him, his two most helpful disciples, Feng Tsong and Feng Jing, also stopped with Wu Li. They looked at their master with confusion in their eyes. They did not know what had happened. I've been tricked. Wu Li's face turned pale, and he looked old. As an ancient god, he had a high position and power. His strength was the best among the ancient race. However, Wu Li was only a beginner when it came to war. In order to protect his foundation, he led the army to make a final counterattack and retreated deep into the ancient southern region. He wanted to use the natural barrier to save the future of the ancient southern region. But now, he felt the overwhelming aura of the demon clan rushing towards him. The demon clan had set up an inescapable trap, waiting for his arrival. As an ancient god and the commander of the ancient race army, he could not escape the blame for such a mistake. Ancient god, this is bad. A large demon clan army suddenly appeared in front. Ancient god, the demon clan army is attacking from behind. Ambush from all sides. At this moment, Wu Li understood what had happened. Bastard! Wu Li clenched his fists and shouted angrily. He was not scolding the demon clan, but himself. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. There were no tricks or unfair victories on the battlefield. There was only victory or defeat in the end. He was the one who had made a mistake, but all the ancient race experts in the ancient southern region had to bear the consequences. How could he bear to do that? Master! Feng Tsong's eyes lit up. Master, let's kill our way out. Feng Jing gritted his teeth and said. Both of them were determined and had received Wu Li's teachings. Their strength was also quite strong. Letting out a long sigh, Wu Li raised his head to look at the sky. His sparkling eyes made him look a little old, but at this moment, his heart was already ice cold. He clearly knew that he had completely lost this war. Moreover, he had suffered a crushing defeat and had been completely controlled by the demon race. He had been toyed with from head to toe like a toy by the demon clan. In the end, because of his wrong decision, the entire ancient race army had suffered such a great calamity. It was all his fault. He had to bear the consequences of his own mistakes. Feng Tsong, Feng Jing. Wu Li's voice was low and hoarse, but his eyes were bright. Master! Feng Tsong and Feng Jing's expressions turned serious. There won't be too many troops lying in ambush. You two will lead the ancient race army in my place, no matter what price we have to pay. Wu Li's eyes flashed, and he shouted, Kill our way back. Do your best to protect the ancient southern region's foundation and pass on the torch. I hope that we can regain our glory one day. Master! Feng Tsong and Feng Jing's expressions changed drastically. They had followed Wu Li for a long time and knew his temperament. What did their master mean by saying this? He wanted to bring up the rear alone. Do as I say, Wu Li said in a deep voice. There was no room for negotiation. Feng Tsong and Feng Jing felt like their hearts were being cut by a knife. They knew that their master would not change his decision. Their bodies trembled and they choked with sobs. They had followed Wu Li since they were young and treated him like a father. Now that they were going to be separated by life and death, how could they not be sad? Also, Wu Li paused and looked at Feng Tsong and Feng Jing. His eyes flashed with kindness, and he nodded gently. If possible, protect Yin your sister. We will, master. 2 lines of tears fell from Feng Tsong and Feng Jing's eyes. The 3 pairs of eyes looked at each other as if they had inherited their bloodline. There was no need for any more words. Feng Tsong grabbed Feng Jing and turned around to leave with tears streaming down his face. He gritted his teeth and looked determined. They could not disappoint their master's kind intentions. Half of the important task of protecting the ancient southern region was now on their shoulders. Looking at the 2 of them leave, the gentle light in Wu Li's eyes gradually disappeared. He became calm like a calm lake. Although he still had feelings for her, it was time for him to do something. As an ancient god, as the king of the ancient southern region, he would use his body to protect his people until he died. The demon clan. Wu Li's eyes were burning, and the flames around his body gradually rose. The flames exploded. Plans could never keep up with changes. No matter how thorough the plan was, it might not necessarily follow the established steps. Lam Tok Ti was indeed very smart and knew the human heart well. However, he would not consider Wu Li's sense of responsibility and mission because he did not possess these 2 qualities and had always scoffed at them. However, when the surging phoenix flames engulfed the demon clan army, Ao Jiang and Zhong Yang's expressions changed instantly. As the people who had the most direct conversation with Wu Li, they could clearly sense Wu Li's decision. Wu Li was going to use his weak body to block the demon clan army that numbered in the millions with his own strength. What boldness! Boom! The flames spread across the sky. The red light covered all the colors, and even the air seemed to be burning. This was the true power of the Douling world. It was the purest flame. There was a limit to speed, a limit to power, and a limit to the flames. The rich fire origin energy had reached the maximum power that the Douling world could withstand, and it exploded completely. One of the most powerful people of the fire lineage, Wu Li, the 7 ancient gods of the ancient tribe, he unleashed all his power. Chapter 1487. Oh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His body came to a sudden stop like a spring. It was extremely strange. If it were any other cultivator, they would not be able to achieve such a speed. However, even though Lin Feng was severely injured, he could still do it easily. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled as he looked into the distance. He felt as if he had experienced the same thing himself. His blood seemed to be burning intensely. A giant phoenix. It's the phoenix constellation. Lin Feng was certain. He could clearly sense the existence of the phoenix. Even if his avatar was not from the phoenix constellation, it was like a twin to his main body. His soul and soul were one. Red light shone in the distance. The phoenix flames were even stronger than his own. So strong, Lin Feng exclaimed. The strength of his main body allowed him to sense the strength of the phoenix constellation expert. Extremely terrifying. Moreover, it was different from his main body's martial god Tao. It was the purest phoenix flames, flames born for celestial spirit masters. It was not the flames of devouring or the flames of rebirth, but a flame he had never seen before. It should be a kind of profound flame, a flame that has condensed the Tao of the constellation, or a mixture of 2 kinds of flames. Its power is not inferior to the flames of devouring or the flames of rebirth. It might even surpass them after fusing with the constellation Tao. If my guess is correct, he should be the strongest person in the ancient southern region. Lin Feng pondered. He knew very well how many experts there were in the ancient southern region. According to his grandfather Feng Chao, there was only one person who could reach the limit of the Douling world with flames alone. That person was ancient god Wu Feng. Wu Li. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and his body flickered. He disappeared in the blink of an eye. Grand and spectacular. The scene could not be described with just the word desperate. The demon race had dug their own graves and provoked someone they should not have provoked. Even if they had the absolute advantage in numbers, the number of celestial spirit masters was not an important factor in determining victory. On the contrary, their losses would be even greater. When a fiend's star-level powerhouse erupted with unflinching fear of death, his strength was already extremely terrifying. Moreover, Wu Li was one of the 7 great ancient gods, and his power was comparable to a demon king. Be it Ao Jiang or Zhong Yong, they were not confident that they could win against Wu Li in a one-on-one battle. He was too strong. The 2 demon kings were very hesitant at the moment, and it was difficult for them to advance or retreat. With such a great advantage, the demon race naturally could not retreat. Furthermore, they had a mission to complete. If they were scared away by Wu Li alone, how could they raise their heads in front of the other demon kings in the future? However, even if they didn't retreat, they were still slaughtered by Wu Li. Not a single demon expert was able to get close to Wu Li, other than Zhong Yong and Ao Jiang. However, none of them were willing to provoke this terrifying fiend. If they were dragged down to the Yellow Springs by Wu Li at any moment, wouldn't their deaths be unjust? With victory at hand, they did not want to take such a big risk. However, time passed minute by minute, second by second. The demon race army's losses had already far exceeded their expectations and were still increasing. The 2 monster kings could no longer remain calm. "We can't wait any longer," Ao Jiang frowned. "Because of Wu Li, our losses are already too great. I'm afraid that the demon emperor will blame us," Zhong Yong said worriedly. "He should have used up a lot of his power. If we combine our powers, although we will be slightly injured, we should be able to kill him." Ao Jiang looked at Zhong Yong calmly. "All right." Zhong Yong's eyes lit up. The 2 monster kings finally made a decision. They could not watch the demon race army being slaughtered by Wu Li so recklessly. To them, this was a disaster. "It's there." Lin Feng floated in midair, his eyes shining. While he was rushing over, the surging phoenix flames had already changed from an all-encompassing attack to a concentrated attack. The power of the flames seemed to have not changed, but in reality, the control of the flames was the most direct reflection of the remaining power of the ancient martial art practitioner. Less than 1 out of 10. To be able to make one of the 7 ancient gods, Wu Li, whose power is comparable to a monster king, fall into such a desperate situation. Lin Feng looked into the distance. The area where the flames were concentrated was mixed with dense water ripples that somewhat restrained the flames. There was also some familiar wood energy, which seemed to be similar in power to the expert of the Two-Faced Lion clan who had just injured him. No, much stronger, Lin Feng thought to himself. It could be seen that the expert of the Two-Faced Lion clan had not used his full power and was holding back a portion of his power and trump cards. Even the expert of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan, who was using the water ripples as the main defense, had not used his full power. He was only slowly depleting the power of the flames. 2 against 1. 2 monster kings, Lin Feng thought to himself. It was not difficult to guess their identities from their strength. It was clear that they were monster kings. Currently, he was also at this level. No wonder ancient god Wu Feng was no match for them. Lin Feng slowly nodded. Either of the 2 monster kings could contend against ancient god Wu Feng, especially the monster king of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan. His water origin was the bane of ancient god Wu Feng, so even in a one-on-one battle, he had a 60% chance of victory, let alone 2 against 1. This was a rather unfair confrontation, but this was war. No, Lin Feng frowned and shook his head. Given ancient god Wu Feng's strength, if he wanted to escape, the 2 monster kings wouldn't be able to do anything to him. In normal circumstances, with his heavy injuries and less than 10% of his strength remaining, he would definitely think of a way to escape. But Lin Feng looked at ancient god Wu Feng. The short-haired man with bright eyes did not show the slightest intention of retreating. His expression showed that he was unafraid of death. He had already seen this kind of gaze a moment ago, and now there was another one. He's definitely going to die, Lin Feng thought to himself, but he had no intention of helping him, let alone the fact that he was heavily injured. Even if his strength was at its peak, he would not meddle in other people's business. After all, he had no relationship with ancient god Wu Feng, so why should he meddle? Provoking two Demon King-level powerhouses was not beneficial to him. Even the southern region might be implicated in this matter. Right now, he was no longer representing a single person. If he's alone, he's probably covering the retreat of the ancient race army. Lin Feng's eyes shone, and he felt admiration for Wu Li. This sort of expert had a heart worthy of respect and was willing to sacrifice everything for his race. Forgive me for being unable to help. Lin Feng softly sighed. Admiration was one thing, but reality was another. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly felt a heavy feeling in his heart, as if someone was spying on him from the distance. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he instantly saw a pair of clear eyes shining with 10 different colors, just like the eyes of Phoenix. A deep feeling. Their eyes met, and a strange light began to converge. Lin Feng did not move. Although he only saw a pair of eyes, he felt a sense of familiarity. If he guessed correctly, it should be the eyes of ancient god Wu Feng, Wu Li. His gaze seemed to be conveying some kind of message to him. Just as he was feeling puzzled, suddenly, boom, boom, the flames changed. The phoenix in the air suddenly swelled up, and its violent cries were filled with excitement and a trace of madness. At that moment, Ao Jiang and Zhong Yang's expressions changed, as they felt that Wu Li was different. Ha! Why? The two monster kings retreated a little, and they were secretly on guard. However, they did not have time to retreat unless they planned to leave completely. After all, the battlefield was so small, how far could they retreat? Wu Li's eyes shone with different colors, and the Soul Fiend transformation caused Ao Jiang to shrink back like a tortoise, even defending himself. The ancient race did not only have Heaven Spirit Masters, but also Heaven Soul Masters. Ao Jiang was a cool-headed monster king, so he had always admired Lam Tok Ti. The situation was very clear. Wu Li had revealed his final trump card, and his power had exploded. It was as if he wanted to drag one of them down with him before he died. Ao Jiang was not that stupid. When disaster struck, everyone flew away. If he wanted to die, he would let Zhong Yang die. In reality, Zhong Yang's reaction was indeed slower than Ao Jiang's. Most importantly, his defense was not as good as Ao Jiang's, and he was immediately locked onto by Wu Li. Bright light flashed, and the roar of a furious beast could be heard from the boiling flames. It was hysterical. Lin Feng's heart trembled. In the distance, green light and red light intersected, strange and sharp. In the void, the phoenix and the two-faced lion fought, and it was extremely intense. The power of the flames had the upper hand, and the majestic forest spread rapidly, tried to use this as a distraction. Patches of dense green were instantly enveloped by the flames. An indiscriminate attack. So strong, Lin Feng thought. Seeing ancient god Wu Feng's attack, he couldn't help but sigh in amazement. It was the same innate skill, forest of God's punishment, that he had been unable to break. But ancient god Wu Feng had not only broken it in an instant, but she had also forced the two-faced lion monster king into an extremely passive and dangerous situation. Lin Feng glanced at the dragon elephant turtle monster king, who had retreated into the brilliance of the water screen, and moved. He could vaguely understand ancient god Wu Feng's intentions. It was purely a reaction, and it inexplicably appeared in his mind. At this moment, as the light of the flames dimmed and the phoenix spread its wings, ancient god Wu Feng's face appeared in his eyes. Her eyes shone brightly, and she released an astonishing amount of soul power. Even though he was so far away, he could clearly sense it, and his heart trembled. The most shocking thing was her hair. It turned from black to red, then deep red, then purplish red, then dark red, and finally back to black. And at the very end, bang, this was a soundless explosion, but it was also the most terrifying explosion of energy. As their souls clashed, the two-faced lion demon king let out a hysterical roar. The instant the red light and the green light intertwined, the phoenix and the two-faced lion demon king were both injured. Blood dyed the sky red, and a terrifying power enveloped the entire space. The dragon elephant turtle demon king was wise to protect himself. He retreated into his turtle shell, not daring to show his face. Boom! Frenzied flames exploded, spreading out in all directions. Lin Feng also raised his defenses, but his heart instantly trembled. Her aura had disappeared. Amidst the intense explosion, ancient god Wu Feng's aura vanished like a flame being extinguished. All that was left was the afterimage of the phoenix in the air, its psychic eyes slowly dimming, as if it was transmitting a message, transmitting a desire. At this moment, whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of an explosion, a huge figure that had revealed its true form flew over from afar like a kite with a broken string. It was the two-faced lion monster king. Chapter 1488. In an instant, Lin Feng understood. He finally understood the message ancient god Wu Feng wanted to pass on to him, her dying wish. She needed his help. He needed to kill this two-faced lion Yao King. Unlike ancient god Wu Feng, this two-faced lion Yao King, who was like a kite with its string cut, was only heavily injured and not dead. However, he was so weak that he had even revealed his true form. He had long since lost the ability to resist. Killing him would be as easy as flipping a hand. Moreover, he was almost within reach. But should he help him? As this thought appeared in his mind, Lin Feng pursed his lips and clenched his fists. This was the dying wish of an ancient god-level expert, an expert who had truly sacrificed everything for his people. Just like him, he had the inheritance and blood of the phoenix. He protected the ancient southern region. He was willing to sacrifice himself for his people. When he saw him, he felt like he could see himself, like he could see his future. Lin Feng closed his eyes, feeling extremely conflicted. The best choice for him, the wisest choice, was undoubtedly to play it safe and run as far away as possible. There was no need for him to wade into these muddy waters. But he couldn't move his body, and the scales in his heart were already tilted toward ancient god Wu Feng. What was more important, sentiment or reason? Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes suddenly opened, and the doomsday spear appeared in his right hand. A dazzling indigo light blossomed, and an astonishing energy instantly enveloped the entire battlefield. After Wu Li, Ao Jiang, and Zhong Yong, a fourth energy that was not inferior appeared. The Yao army was completely stunned. Everyone looked over, including Ao Jiang. Their eyes shone with cold light, and their faces paled. Zhong Yong's face was filled with shock and horror. His spine was cold, and he was terrified. However, he didn't have the slightest bit of strength left, so how could he block? Ji Lai's eyes were wide open. He could see Lin Feng's appearance and that bloodthirsty spear at close range, but that was his last bit of consciousness. Swish! The doomsday spear pierced through Zhong Yong's massive body. Stellar origin energy, accompanied by a dazzling golden light, instantly exploded with a terrifying sound. Bang! It was like the heavens had collapsed, and the Yao army was intimidated. The demon king of the two-faced lion clan, Zhong Yong, had died tragically. Under the bloody mist, Lin Feng stood upright. His face was resolute and his eyes flickered. Logically speaking, he was in the wrong. But in terms of love, even if he was given another chance, he would still do it. He did not regret it at all. Wah! As if it was psychic, the light in the eyes of the completely dim phoenix phantom in the void turned gentle, as if it had let go of its obsession and fulfilled its wish. Following Zhong Yong's death, it disappeared without a trace, and the entire battlefield fell silent in an instant. Whoosh! Lin Feng didn't stop. After killing Zhong Yong, he left under the cover of the bloodlight. There was no need to stay. There was no point in fighting another Demon King. Perhaps if he was at his peak, he might be able to put up a fight. But right now, he had less than 20% of his strength left. How could he be his opponent? Although he did not watch the entire battle, he had a rough idea of the strength of the Dragon Elephant Turtle Clan's Demon King. He didn't even use a bit of his strength. If he were to fight him now, he would definitely lose. Zhong Yong was dead. The change happened too suddenly, so sudden that all the Demon Clan experts had yet to recover from their shock. This included Ao Jiang. He did not see Lin Feng's full appearance, but he could vaguely see his outline. Most importantly, he saw the long spear that was flashing with indigo light. He witnessed Zhong Yong being killed by the spear and dying without a burial place. Ao Jiang's expression changed, and his eyes darkened. But Zhong Yong's death was a foregone conclusion, and the situation was clear. No matter what, the mission was completed. Ancient God Wu Feng has been killed by me, but Demon King Zhong Yong was killed by a human sneak attack. Ao Jiang shot up and landed at the highest point in the sky. His Demon King aura was revealed and shot into the sky. He shouted loudly, "Demons, listen to my orders. Follow me and slaughter the ancient southern region. Take that human's life and avenge Demon King Zhong Yong." His aura shot into the sky, and he was insufferably mighty. Ao Jiang seemed to have been reborn. He was arrogant and fearless. Avenge. Kill that despicable human. Slaughter the ancient southern region. The demon race army responded with high morale. Ancient God Wu Feng's death had already caused the demon race army to be fearless. How could the scattered soldiers of the ancient southern region possibly withstand their charge? In addition, Demon King Zhong Yong's death had infuriated the demon race. The demon race army's morale was at its peak, and they were able to unleash more than 100% of their strength. Rumble, 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 rumble. The demon race army swept out like a hurricane, covering the entire ancient southern region. Right now, no one could stop them. Lin Feng sped forward. His hand was pressed against his chest, and his expression was extremely unsightly. The pain in his heart was extremely intense. It was like the death of a loved one, but he did not know why. Killing the Demon King of the two-faced lion race did not bring him any pleasure, nor did he feel relieved. He only felt an inexplicable sense of relief. It was not for himself, but for ancient God Wu Feng. His final wish had been fulfilled. I wonder if this matter will cause any trouble, Lin Feng thought to himself. It would be a lie to say that he didn't care. Even though he had left very quickly, with so many pairs of eyes watching him, it would have been hard not to notice him. But what was done, and there was no point in regretting it. He could worry about what would happen later. Right now, saving his grandfather was more important. The death of a demon king should be a massive blow to the demon race. Lin Feng softly muttered to himself. It would not be wrong to say that he had not gained anything. Killing the demon king of the two-faced lion race had allowed him to obtain a blue innate treasure and a yellow innate treasure. A demon king was naturally quite wealthy, and the thing that interested him the most was still the only thing, the Naiden of a demon king. How powerful was that? It's very special. It's different from the Naidens of other demon races. As Lin Feng sped forward, he sensed the uniqueness of the Demon King's Naiden. It was different from the ruthlessness of other demon race Naidens. This Naiden was clear and clean, without the slightest bit of ruthlessness. More importantly, it was completely undamaged. Normally, even if a demon king died, their Naiden would not be so intact. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. Moreover, with the disappearance of the evil aura, even the consciousness within the core has disappeared. If my guess is correct, it should be related to ancient god Wu Feng's final soul attack, which destroyed most of the consciousness within the core. Only then did this core appear. Perfect. A rarely seen perfect Naiden. Moreover, it was a Demon King Naiden. It could be said to be the essence of a Saint King Naiden. Its value is hard to estimate. After returning, I'll carefully study it. Lin Feng's eyes shone as he thought to himself. In truth, he had always had an idea, which was to refine the astral treasure to a higher level and reach the level of a true Saint King. At that time, if he could use the blood essence of a Saint King level divine beast, there would be hope for him to refine a Saint King level divine beast. And the demon race's Knighten was of the same type. Perhaps one day, the demon king of the two-faced lion race will be able to see the light of day again. Lin Feng smiled calmly. However, at that time, it will be one of my spiritual beasts. His eyes shone, but he did not think too far ahead. The Knighten immediately flew into his storage ring. Lin Feng looked into the distance and sped up once more. The pain in his heart was growing more and more intense. Feng Tsong and Feng Jing were both high-level Saint Kings. Wu Li had many disciples and countless nominal disciples. However, there were only 3 people that he was truly satisfied with: Feng Tsong, Feng Jing, and Huang Ling. Now that Wu Li had directly appointed them, Feng Tsong and Feng Jing naturally took on the heavy responsibility of leading the ancient race army and cutting through all obstacles. Boom! Boom! Feng Tsong and Feng Jing decisively chose to split up. After all, the more changes there were, the more hope there was. The ancient race army did not choose to fight a protracted battle by attacking from the 2 sides of the demon race army. Instead, they chose the simplest and most direct method of breaking through. This was because Feng Tsong and Feng Jing clearly understood that even if their master, ancient goddess Wu Feng, could block them, it would only be for a while. With their master's strength alone, it was impossible for her to destroy the demon race army. It was only to stall for time. It was to allow the ancient race experts to survive a little longer. Most importantly, they wanted to preserve the elite bloodline of the ancient southern region and pass it down. Then, they would have a chance to regain their glory in the future. The battle was unusually intense. The ancient Phoenix clan experts were all under the command of Feng Jing. Clan leader Feng Chao, Ancestor Red Brows, and other elite experts of the ancient Phoenix clan followed Feng Jing to fight against the demon race. They suffered heavy casualties. After all, the ancient race prioritized heaven spirit masters. For a mission like breaking through, heaven martial artists were far more suitable than heaven spirit masters. However, there was no other choice now. Boom! Boom! Flames flared and covered the entire demon race army. Just as Wu Li said, there were not many demon race soldiers lying in ambush. Otherwise, Feng Tsong and Feng Jing would have no chance at all. At least now, there was still hope. The repeated attacks narrowed the gap in strength, and many ancient race experts managed to escape. Every single one of them escaped. Feng Tsong and Feng Jing had already accepted death and decided to live and die together with their master. If their master could do it, so could they. Clan leader Feng Chao, let's go. Feng Jing shouted, his eyes bright. He was covered in blood and was heavily injured. After all, he was the commander of the ancient race and was specially taken care of by the demon race. Many of the attacks landed on him. Feng Chao, who was beside him, was also heavily injured. There was a deep bloody scar on his face, which was caused by the demon race. There was no hesitation, and there was no need for unnecessary excuses. They would do what they had to do. Hurry up. Take them as far as you can. Ancestor Red Brows roared. His red eyebrows reached his temples, and his hair and beard fluttered. Feng Jing's strength exploded, and he slaughtered the demon race experts, creating conditions for the ancient race elites to break through and escape. Take care. Feng Chao's eyes were bright and filled with pain. There was a lot of helplessness in his deep voice. As a clan leader, he knew how to choose. Behind him were the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan. They were the future of the ancient Phoenix clan. Feng Chao sped through the flames and led the elites to break through the encirclement. Boom! Boom! The flames flared, deeply imprinting the hearts of the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan. It was very painful. Chapter 1489. He searched everywhere. Lin Feng's speed was extremely fast, and he entered the chaotic battlefield before the demon army. However, it was not easy to find Grandpa Feng Chao with so many auras. Staring at the experts from the demonic races and ancient races, Lin Feng furrowed his brows. His silhouette flickered as he sped through the area. He didn't assist the ancient races, but he knew that he wouldn't be able to change the balance of the war by himself. Moreover, he was heavily injured. After casually killing a few saint-level demon experts, Lin Feng floated in the air and pondered a lot. Although the surrounding demon experts were in a frenzy, they still had some rationality left. Seeing how the saint-level demon experts were cut into pieces like tofu, they did not dare to provoke Lin Feng. With fear in their eyes, they ran as far as they could. For a moment, Lin Feng's surroundings became much quieter. After all, the ancient Feng clan is one of the important branches of the southern ancient region. I believe the other ancient race experts might know. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The situation was more complicated than he had imagined. It was obvious that the ancient race was trying to break out of the encirclement, and the demon race was trying to stop them. It was extremely difficult for the ancient race experts who were scattered in all directions to find one person. With a thought, Lin Feng's figure turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared in an instant. Bang! Bang! Flames filled the air, and intense blue and white flames rose in the surroundings. It was a middle-aged man. He did not have much of his saint-level strength left, and his face was pale. Countless demons pounced on him, not giving him any chance to breathe. They attacked him from all directions without any blind spots. Bang! Rumble! The flames burned, and the number of demon corpses increased. However, the middle-aged man's eyes were filled with despair. He had no way out. There was no other possibility other than dying in battle. However, his expression was very calm because his attack had created an opportunity for the elite warriors of the clan to escape. As an elder of the clan, his death was worth it and he had dignity. Moreover, after killing so many demons, he would not be lonely even if he went to hell. Screech! The flames were getting dimmer. The middle-aged man seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. Naturally, it was impossible for him to recover his exhausted strength. Seeing hundreds of demon clan experts swarming over as if they were fighting for their prey, the middle-aged man's lips curled into a faint smile as he slowly closed his eyes. He could die without regrets. Despair. The middle-aged man's heart was very calm. However, this moment of waiting was so long that he was puzzled. A few seconds felt as long as a few centuries, but the attacks of the demonic beasts never landed on him. It was like an illusion, It was extremely unreal. Was he dead? The middle-aged man opened his eyes and frowned. Wah! His eyes instantly shone with resplendent light. A blood-red light danced in the air, and an indigo light shone in the starry sky. One man and one spear. They were so small, but as the golden light shone, the spear energy perfectly killed all the demon clan experts. Pung! There was a violent explosion. The surroundings fell silent in an instant. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of demon clan experts were reduced to nothingness. The middle-aged man looked in front of him in horror. The young man with the spear was stained with blood. His eyes were cold, like an unparalleled demon god. Golden star source energy surrounded him, and the star seal on his forehead shone, reflecting the absolute strength of a saint king. Who was he? The middle-aged man could not help but have this question in his mind. Hello, do you know where Feng Chao went? As if he had teleported, Lin Feng appeared in front of the middle-aged man in the blink of an eye. His face was calm, but there was hope and desire. Feng Chao. The middle-aged man was startled, and his eyes suddenly lit up with vigilance. Who are you? I'm a member of the ancient Feng clan. Lin Feng nodded indifferently and looked at the middle-aged man. Lin Feng, clan leader Feng Chao, is my grandfather. Not long ago, he announced to the entire ancient southern region. At that time, in order to protect him, his grandfather did not hesitate to offend the divine hall and held a ceremony to acknowledge him. Others might not know, but since this middle-aged man was a saint, there was no reason for him not to know. Oh, the middle-aged man's eyes lit up, and he nodded in understanding. He suddenly remembered, and looking at the black-clothed youth in front of him, his vigilance immediately disappeared, and he felt a bit closer. "So it's you. You came to, I want to save my grandfather." Lin Feng did not hide anything. The middle-aged man nodded in understanding. If Lin Feng had said this in front of him before, he would not have believed it. But now that he had personally witnessed Lin Feng's terrifying strength, he felt that these words were so normal coming from Lin Feng's mouth, and there was no trace of exaggeration. Feng Chao should have taken his clansmen to the extreme danger zone, the middle-aged man said slowly after some thought. Extreme danger zone? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Yes, that is the deepest part of the ancient southern region, where ancient goddess Wu Feng lives. The middle-aged man nodded enthusiastically. In the ancient southern region, the extreme danger zone's defenses are the strongest, and the terrain is more suitable for fire element cultivators to display their strength. They can resist the monster race for a while. Go straight in this direction. The middle-aged man pointed behind him. Many thanks. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and an exquisite star fruit appeared in his hand. He handed it over and said, "Alkane Song fruit, one of the top-grade star fruits." After saying this, Lin Feng ignored the middle-aged man, whose eyes were wide open in shock, and left like a shooting star. There was only so much he could do to help. Alkane Song fruit was one of the top-grade star fruits and was very valuable, but the things that could be bought with shaman coins were nothing to him. Perhaps this middle-aged man would not be able to escape death in the end, but this was his fate. He could save him once, but he could not save him a second or third time. In fact, he knew very well that the experts of the ancient southern region would not be able to escape this calamity. The only difference was how many elite bloodlines would survive. Extreme danger zone. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he quickly walked in the direction the middle-aged man pointed. The throbbing in his chest became more and more intense, as though it was about to jump out of his throat. The feeling of being connected by blood, the feeling of being touched from the heart, was definitely not wrong. Grandfather was indeed there. He should be fine. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and the doomsday spear moved. He sped up again, which affected the injuries in his body. The intense pain in his heart was not as intense as the feeling in his heart. He was rushing madly. Although he did not burst out with his maximum speed, his current speed was not slow either. It was about 1/3 of his maximum speed, which was already the maximum burden on his body. If it was an ordinary martial artist with such serious injuries, it would be a problem for him to continue traveling. However, it was still within the acceptable range for him. His injuries continued to worsen as he traveled. It did not matter. As long as I can save grandfather, it doesn't matter how serious my injuries are. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. If it was his original body, he would be a little worried. However, his doppelganger's body was so strong that he did not have to worry at all. No matter how serious his injuries were, as long as he still had a breath of life, his doppelganger would be full of energy soon. The vitality of his cells and the recovery ability of his body were the strongest in the entire Douling world. There was no other. Chi! The Doomsday Spear opened up a path. Lin Feng's eyes were cold. The number of Demon Clan martial artists in front of him did not decrease. On the contrary, it was increasing. This made him even more worried. Obviously, the Demon Clan knew the direction of the Ancient Clan's escape. Most of their troops were rushing towards the natural danger zone. It was like catching a turtle in a jar. The main force of the Demon Clan was slowly spreading behind him like a dark cloud. "All of you, get out of my way!" Lin Feng's eyes were filled with killing intent. The indigo-level light of the Doomsday Spear was driven by a strong, killing intent. It was like a golden arrow. Wherever it passed, not a single living thing could survive. Lin Feng, who was seriously injured, was still so powerful. These Demon Clan members deserved to die. Some of the Ancient Clan experts who could not escape in time were caught up and slaughtered by the Demon Clan. Looking at this scene, he seemed to have seen his grandfather's ending. It made him feel like his heart was being torn apart, and he could not suppress the heart-wrenching pain. He was getting closer and closer. 1/3 of his maximum speed was shocking. Lin Feng's speed was much faster than ordinary Demon Clan experts. The figures of the ancient clan experts in front of him entered his sight. Witnessing the tragedies happening one after another along the way, Lin Feng felt like his heart was being cut by a knife. His aura surged and spread. He was both hopeful and afraid. He wanted to sense his grandfather's aura, but he was afraid of seeing something he did not want to see. However, everything was destined. Pung. Shocked, Lin Feng's expression changed abruptly. His body trembled slightly, and even the doomsday spear seemed to be resonating. He sensed it. The sudden happiness seemed to have hit him on the head. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. It was his grandfather's aura. He could sense it clearly. Although his grandfather was a little weak, his grandfather's aura still existed. This was the best news. Even if he was injured, as long as he could leave this place alive, there would be a way to treat him. There would be a day when he would recover. Boom! Lin Feng shot out like a cannonball. His eyes shone brightly. He finally found it. They resisted with all their might. The experts of the ancient Phoenix clan, led by Feng Chao, were also ambushed by the demons. The entire ancient southern region seemed to be filled with demon race experts. Although they had broken out of the encirclement, the ancient Phoenix clan elite experts, led by Feng Chao, were constantly losing more and more people. The demon race's obstruction was stronger and stronger each time, and their strength was rapidly rising. Boom! Slash! Another 2 elites of the ancient Phoenix clan fell into a pool of blood. Feng Chao's eyes were completely bloodshot. These elites had the best bloodlines of the ancient Phoenix clan. They were the warriors with the most potential. Only half of them were left after breaking out of the encirclement. Moreover, this was not the end. It was just the beginning. The number of demons intercepting them this time was quite large. Their tyrannical strength made it difficult for the ancient Phoenix clan to resist. The Dragon Elephant Turtle clan. The Demon King was one of the 5 royal clans. Feng Chao gritted his teeth and resisted with all his might. However, his state of mind was perturbed, and he was getting more and more powerless. The situation was quite bad. If this continued, it would be a big problem whether they could break out of the encirclement safely, let alone kill them. The elite experts of the clan were constantly injured and dying. His heart seemed to be dripping blood. Is my ancient Phoenix clan going to die here today? Feng Chao's expression was ugly, and his eyes revealed extreme reluctance. Chapter 1490. Their hopes were completely dashed. Flames appeared in Feng Chao's hand. As he killed a demon race expert, a new wound appeared on his chest. His heart was in pain, but the most painful thing was his heart. His blood-red eyes recalled Red Brow's ancestor and the other elders sacrificing themselves to protect him and the elites of the clan. But what was the result? Roar! Screams mixed with the violent roars of beasts formed this cruel and bloody massacre. Unlike the elite experts of the ancient Phoenix clan, although the demon experts were constantly being killed, their numbers were gradually increasing. On the other hand, the number of elite experts of the ancient Phoenix clan would only decrease. As for the other experts of the ancient Phoenix clan, they were too busy taking care of themselves. How could they come to reinforce them? They could only rely on themselves. However, they were powerless at the moment. Jia jia. Arrogant laughter came from the experts of the Dragon Elephant Turtle race. The splendor of the water curtain formed shackles that strangled the necks of the ancient Phoenix race's elite warriors. They pulled at the necks of the elite warriors of the ancient Phoenix race and grinned hideously. They were enjoying the pleasure of killing. Under his feet, more than a few dozen elites of the ancient Phoenix clan died. Every one of them died without an intact corpse. Damn it! Feng Chao's eyes were about to split open, but he could not distinguish himself at all. The surrounding demon clan experts surrounded him one after another, making it impossible for him to help. In fact, with his strength, he was no match for the Saint King expert of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan. However, to watch his clansmen being killed one by one was more heartbreaking than killing him. His heart seemed to be bleeding. His tears had long since dried up. To the ancient Phoenix clan and the ancient southern region, this was undoubtedly a disaster. An unprecedented disaster. Jia Jia. Jia Jia. Laughing wantonly, the Saint King expert of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan grabbed another elite of the ancient Phoenix clan. In the void, the giant turtle pressed the phoenix under its body. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on it. It was insufferably majestic. The water light in his hand turned into sharp blades and shackles, appearing again. No! Feng Chao screamed. Flames erupted wildly, but it was useless. But in an instant, the king sage of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan widened his eyes in shock. Turning around, as if it was a conditioned reflex, even Feng Chao looked over in shock. He saw a ray of light flash down from the sky. It was golden starlight, carrying with it a rich indigo-level light. The killing intent that bloomed made every martial artist tremble in fear. Chi, a reckless and insolent spear. The Saint King Realm Master of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan had a drastic change in expression. His reaction was fast enough, but no matter how hard he tried to resist, it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The indigo light completely destroyed his defense, and the hideous grin on his face was filled with shock and fear. Bang! A violent explosion rang out, and blood splattered everywhere. A dignified Saint King expert had been reduced to ashes in an instant. This change happened so suddenly that every elite expert of the ancient Phoenix clan was stunned, including the experts of the Demon clan. However, this was only the beginning. The dazzling spear shadows flashed with indigo light. In the blink of an eye, they transformed into spear Dao that spread out like meteors. Chi, Chi, Rip. Streaks of spear force were unstoppable. The Saint King and Star sector-level experts of the Demon clan were all beheaded. This was a battle of two completely different levels. Corpses after corpses, tragic cries, and beastly roars instantly changed the situation on the battlefield. The previously large number of Demon clan members had been reduced to countless casualties in just a few seconds, and the massacre continued. Feng Chao was completely stunned. He stared blankly at the light figure holding a spear in front of him. Although he could not see the person's face clearly, he could not be more familiar with the figure, the outline of the face, and the aura. He did not expect that the person who came would be his nephew, Lin Feng. And what shocked him the most was Lin Feng's strength was extremely terrifying. He killed a Saint King expert with a single spear strike. He alone swept through countless Demon clan members like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. It's Lin Feng, senior sister's son. Oh my God, how could he be so powerful? The surviving elites of the ancient Phoenix clan were all stunned. Looking at the situation, it was hard to imagine that they were being slaughtered just a moment ago and were already exhausted. Now, Lin Feng was facing thousands of Demon clan members alone. Not a single Demon clan expert could survive. One person, one spear, invincible. Star sector level, one spear strike. Saint King, one spear strike. Saint King, one spear strike. It was as if to Lin Feng, the strength of the Demon clan experts was not important at all. It was as easy as killing ants. The elites of the ancient Phoenix clan gathered together and did not go forward to help. With their strength, they would only add to the chaos. In just a few seconds, only a few Demon clan experts were left. They were dead, and they fled. They were extremely terrified as if they had seen a demon. Huff, huff, panting softly, Lin Feng's doomsday spear flashed in his hand. There was not a single Demon clan expert in the surroundings. This kind of battle was not a big deal to him at all. It was just that the injuries he had suffered before were serious, so there were still some side effects. However, no matter what, the current situation was not bad. Although many elites of the ancient Phoenix clan had died, at least his grandfather was fine. This was more important than anything else. Swoosh! With a flash, Lin Feng came in front of Feng Chao and looked at his pale face with an apologetic smile. Sorry, grandfather, I'm late. Hundreds of gazes gathered around, mixed with excitement, reverence, and admiration. Lin Feng's strength shocked them, and many of them were ashamed. However, there were a few pure-blooded clansmen in the clan who were secretly laughing at Lin Feng's birth. But now, they were saved by such a human. Feng Chao's eyes moved. He wanted to say 1,000 words, but he could not. All kinds of mixed emotions turned into a long sigh. Feng Chao nodded and smiled with relief. Grandfather, we can't stay here any longer. We have to leave quickly. Lin Feng's eyes were bright, and his expression was calm. Leave. Feng Chao was startled, and his brows furrowed. The teleportation formation has been sealed, and the spatial energy is in chaos. We have no way to leave, Feng. Looking at Lin Feng Chao said seriously, the only thing we can do now is to hide in the dangerous place of the southern ancient region and stall for time as much as possible, waiting for the Witch Clan to rescue us. No, grandfather, this is too risky. Lin Feng shook his head. Others might not know, but he knew how terrifying the Witch Clan's army was. Even if there were natural dangers in the southern ancient region, he was unwilling to place his hopes on the unreliable Witch Clan and the word delay. I know, but other than that, we have no other choice. Feng Chao sighed softly. There is. Lin Feng smiled indifferently, his eyes flashing. It all depends on whether you believe me or not. Feng Chao's gaze was deep as he looked at Lin Feng and nodded without hesitation. Of course I believe you. That's good. Lin Feng nodded seriously. The Doomsday Spear appeared in his hand in an instant, and it let out a loud cry. Looking around, Lin Feng's killing intent was completely released. I wonder if grandfather is willing to follow me. Kill our way out. His voice was sonorous and powerful. Lin Feng's aura was majestic, intimidating all the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan. Feng Chao's eyes were also bright. Kill their way out. What kind of courage, what kind of risk was this? One had to know that killing their way out was equivalent to turning back and walking. They knew that there were tigers in the mountain, but they still walked towards the tiger mountain. However, Feng Chao chose to gamble, even though his heart was trembling. In fact, all the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan were nervous and afraid. After all, they had finally broken out of the encirclement of the demon clan's army. If they were to turn back now, wouldn't they be sending lambs to the tiger's den? However, Lin Feng's strength intimidated everyone. Feng Chao chose to believe in Lin Feng and rely on Lin Feng. Reality proved that his choice was correct. Lin Feng's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. Boom! Boom! Flames exploded. Lin Feng completely ignored the Demon Clan's elites. His clone opened up a path with the Doomsday Spear in front, and his main body bombarded with endless flames from behind. Along the way, he killed more than tens of thousands of demons. Just one person was enough to make the Demon Clan tremble in fear. His main body's strength erupted. He had not let his main body appear all this time. He had deliberately preserved his strength for this moment. The clone that was seriously injured was unable to bring everyone out. Facing the endless number of Demon Clan elites, he would probably be exhausted before he could even make it halfway. However, his main body was different. As long as the Demon Clan did not deliberately target him, it was not a big deal to kill his way out under the protection of his main body's flames. They kept moving forward. Not only were the Demon Clan deeply shocked, but the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan also admired Lin Feng to the point of prostrating themselves on the ground and worshipping him like a god. His strength was too terrifying. Blood spilled all over the land. It was a mess, and corpses were everywhere. War was cruel. Under Lin Feng's lead, the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan and Feng Chao finally escaped. Even though the periphery of the ancient southern region was still surrounded by Demon Clan elites, facing an existence of Lin Feng's strength, they were just courting death. Finally, they killed their way out. The elites of the ancient Phoenix clan were overjoyed after surviving a disaster. Previously, they were still shocked by Lin Feng's bold plan. Now, they had tasted the sweet fruit. It seemed impossible, but many things depended on human effort. Heaven had closed all the doors, but there would always be a window and a path for them. And Lin Feng was their window. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. Feng Chao murmured softly. The tragic battle still appeared in his eyes. He was in disbelief. Lin Feng had really led them out of there. How shocking. Feng, or it's all thanks to you this time. A gratified smile appeared on Feng Chao's face. He looked at Lin Feng, but his expression suddenly changed, and he frowned. What's wrong, Feng? He saw that Lin Feng was clutching his chest with his hand, and cold sweat dripped from his forehead. It was extremely unusual. Pain. Heartache. It was more heartache than ever before. Lin Feng clutched his chest with his hand. He felt his mouth and tongue dry, and his heart seemed to be twisted into pieces. His eyes were deep, and he gritted his teeth. What was going on? She had clearly rescued her grandfather, but why? Not only did the heartache not disappear, but it also became more and more intense. Chapter 1491. Could it be? Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and his heart trembled. He didn't have many relatives. His mother, brother, and sister were all safe in the faraway kingdom of Meru. In the Douling world, there was only one other person in the ancient southern region other than his grandfather. Mother. Lin Feng immediately activated the compass and dialed her number. Beep, a strange sound rang, and Lin Feng's expression changed. It wasn't short and continuous, nor was it long. Instead, it was a piercing sound that was unhurried. It's not that the compass is turned off, but that the signal has been lost. Lin Feng's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. His heart ached, and his limbs were cold. His gaze suddenly landed on Feng Chao. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he asked anxiously, Grandfather, have you seen Mother? Elegant bamboo? Feng Chao was also stunned. He muttered, I haven't seen her in a while. Could Mother be in the ancient southern region? Lin Feng asked again. This? Feng Chao hesitated and shook his head. I don't know. What's wrong? Lin Feng's gaze deepened. He turned to look at the ancient southern region and said in a low voice, I'm afraid Mother is still in the ancient southern region. Maybe. He didn't finish his sentence. Lin Feng frowned and pondered. Given Mother's personality, she would definitely protect the ancient southern region if something huge happened. Plus, the compass couldn't contact Mother. The possibility was very high. Grandfather, let's go. We can't stay here for long. I'll bring you into Yin Imperial City first, Lin Feng said seriously. The safest place now was the 3 imperial cities. After all, the heavenly spirit world was one of the largest forces in the Douling world. Even the demon race didn't dare to provoke them. After settling Grandfather and the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan in the Imperial Garden, he wouldn't have to worry anymore. Okay. Feng Chao nodded. He looked at Lin Feng. Although he was puzzled, he didn't probe further. He trusted this nephew of his completely. There was no need for him to know too much. They went their separate ways. His original body led his grandfather and the elites of the ancient Phoenix clan to the nearest teleportation formation, while his avatar watched them leave. Without any hesitation, he returned to the ancient southern region. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly as he sped forward like an arrow. Go back the same way you came out. Previously, he had brought hundreds of people with him and was not afraid of the demon army, let alone now that he was alone. Even if the demon race army could see him, they wouldn't be able to catch up. Even though the clone's injuries were severe, it wouldn't be too much of a burden to maintain this speed. She didn't want her grandfather to worry. After all, this was just his guess, and it might not be true. However, even if the probability was only 10% or even 1%, he had to verify it. If his mother was really in the southern ancient region, she would be fighting against the ancient race experts and the demon race in the deepest part of the ancient region. The feeling of heartache couldn't lie, and the feeling of being connected by blood was even clearer to him. There must be something fishy going on. I hope I'm just overthinking things, Lin Feng thought. Even if it was a wasted trip, it would be worth it. What he was most afraid of was his premonition. It had always been accurate. The demon race army came in a mighty manner. Under the leadership of Demon King Ao Jiang, The main force of the demon race was slowly heading towards the deepest part of the southern ancient region. Ao Jiang knew the location of the southern ancient region, and the information provided by the military advisor was quite complete. He had even expected the ancient race to make such a move. They were deliberately letting them go. They are like turtles in a jar. How long can these so-called elite powerhouses last? There will only be a complete annihilation. Ao Zhang's eyes were bright and full of confidence. To him, all he had to do was to follow the military advisor's arrangements. Even though the ancient race experts were in the southern ancient region, the demon race had a strong foundation after all. Instead of spending time and energy searching for the ancient race experts in a vast land, it was better to gather them, catch them all in one go. Even if the price was slightly higher, it would be worth it. At the very least, this was a sure win game. It's a pity that Zhong Yong was killed. I didn't expect that at all, Ao Jiang muttered. Even though he and Zhong Yong were not close, they were both demon kings and had a good relationship. He also felt that it was a pity that Zhong Yong was killed. After all, to the demon race, Zhong Yong had a considerable presence in terms of status and strength. His death was a blow to the demon race and greatly weakened their strength. And the most important thing was, the death of a demon king would definitely infuriate the demon emperor, and his battle achievements would undoubtedly decrease. Human expert. Ao Zhang's eyes flashed as he muttered to himself. The image of a man and a spear appeared in his mind. The indigo light was mixed with the golden astral source power. Even though the human figure was not tall, it was deeply engraved in his mind. How could he forget? His aura was rather strong. He should be the one who barged into the demon race army alone. The number one expert of the two-faced lion clan, Zhong Qing, also died in his hands. Zhong Yong's final death was also caused by him. And just now, he led a group of ancient race experts to break out of the encirclement. Ao Zhang's eyes were filled with anger and murderous intent. This human expert had plucked the fur off the tiger again and again. Who could tolerate this? Who could tolerate this? The demon race army's morale had dropped because of this human who had appeared out of nowhere and was causing trouble everywhere. He was like a flea jumping around and could not be caught. It was even harder to catch him. Moreover, his strength was not simple. Forget it. When the time comes, I will report to the Demon Emperor and let them handle it. Anyway, this troublesome human expert has already left the ancient southern region, and we will not meet again for the time being. Now, let's conquer the ancient southern region first. Ao Zhang's aura was revealed, and the aura of a demon king was boundless. Conquering the ancient southern region would be a milestone victory for the demon race, and he would be the one who contributed the most. A place of extreme danger. This was the deepest part of the ancient southern region. The blazing sea of fire was the hottest place in the ancient southern region. It was also the residence of ancient god Wu Li, ancient god Wu Feng. In the ancient southern region, it was known as a sacred ground. Normally, ancient race experts would not be able to enter this place, but now it was overcrowded. A place of extreme danger. The blazing sea of fire burned all year round. The southern sea of fire. The sea of fire, whose depth could not be seen, completely enveloped the place of extreme danger. If one wanted to enter the place of extreme danger, there was only one way. That was to cross the southern sea of fire. However, it was easier said than done. The sky of the place of extreme danger was not high. There was a layer of natural spatial turbulence around it. The white and transparent barrier could be seen clearly and sealed the spirit energy of the place of extreme danger. This was a dead end. Entering the place of extreme danger was like entering a dead end. However, the ancient race experts all surged in. This was because this was the sacred ground of the ancient southern region. They believed that the god of the ancient southern region would protect them and protect them. Moreover, there was a large number of fire element heavenly spirit masters. If the demon race experts wanted to cross the southern sea of fire, they would have to pay a shocking price. Geographical advantage was very important in a war. It was enough to affect the entire situation. Huang Ling. She was as famous as Feng Song and Feng Jing. She was one of the 3 disciples that Wu Li was most proud of. Now, she was guarding the place of extreme danger. She had sent her junior brothers and junior sisters to settle the ancient race experts in an orderly manner. Many of them were descendants of the ancient race. On the other hand, she had arranged for fire element heavenly spirit masters to resist the demon race's attack in the place of extreme danger. She was very capable and did not hesitate at all. As for her, she stood outside the hall like a door god. She did not move at all. Countless orders came out of her mouth. Huang Ling was like the commander of the place of extreme danger. However, she knew that she had a mission. She had to protect young Miss Huang Yan. In the hall, there was a huge flaming phoenix, a divine beast at the peak of the Sage King level. The majestic flames burned. The bright red color revealed the figure of a woman. Her face could not be seen. It was as if she was tightly wrapped in the phoenix's wings. A faint moan came from the flames. It sounded like she was in extreme pain. Huang Yan, Wu Li's daughter. She had the purest phoenix bloodline in the ancient southern region. She was dressed in fiery red scaled armor. Her beauty was peerless. However, she did not have the phoenix crown that symbolized her status on her head. She did not look so high and mighty anymore. Her beautiful hair spread out like a scroll. Huang Yan's eyes were closed. Her long eyelashes trembled, and sweat appeared on her forehead. If one looked carefully, her lower abdomen was bulging and constantly changing. She was suffering the pain of childbirth. She could not move at all, let alone fight. Otherwise, why would Huang Yan not follow ancient god Wu Feng into battle to protect the ancient southern region? No matter how strong she was, even if she was a Sage King level existence, she was still a woman. The stronger one was, the more difficult it was to give birth. Similarly, if she could successfully give birth to a child with the excellent bloodline of both parents, the child's potential would be even greater. At this moment, even Huang Yan was in so much pain that she was sweating. One could imagine how powerful the energy of the child in her belly was. Just by seeing that the phoenix at the peak of the Sage King level had appeared and gently wrapped its wings around Huang Yan, as if it was accompanying the child, one could see how powerful it was. Huang Yan was in the midst of a calamity. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Feng broke through the air at an extremely fast speed. Even though he had spent a lot of time escorting the elites of the ancient God Feng clan away, Lin Feng was not too anxious at this moment. He knew how powerful the natural danger zone was. No matter how powerful the demon clan was, they would not be able to break through the southern sea of flames in a short time. His feeling was getting more and more profound. Goosebumps rose all over his body. Lin Feng pursed his lips tightly, and his expression was extremely solemn. Worry, an inexplicable worry. His heart was in turmoil. Reason told him that there was no need to be so worried, but his body still increased its speed once again. He wanted to reach the natural danger zone one step earlier and to get the confirmation one step earlier. He did not care about adding more injuries to his clone because the pain in his heart was much more serious than the injuries on his body. It had never happened before. Just as Lin Feng was getting closer to the natural danger zone, the Demon Clan army, led by Ao Jiang, had already entered the periphery of the southern Sea of Flames. Millions of Demon Clan experts covered the sky and the earth, surrounding the natural danger zone, catching a turtle in a jar. Chapter 1493. Attack. Ao Jiang waved his hand without any hesitation. Even with the Nambla Fire Sea as a natural barrier, Ao Jiang did not care at all. He was leading the demon army and not the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan. What did the life and death of these ordinary demons have to do with him? The only thing he cared about was his battle achievements. Now that Zhong Yong had been killed, the news would soon reach the Demon Emperor's ears. By then, many unnecessary changes might occur. To prevent any accidents from happening, it was best to attack the natural barrier first and destroy the ancient southern region. As for the number of casualties, it did not matter. No matter how resourceful the military advisor was, He did not know how many warriors there were in the ancient southern region and how strong they were. War was unpredictable to begin with. Boom, boom, rumble. The demon's crazy attacks finally triggered the Nanbua Fire Sea. The Sage King level flames were so strong that those below the Sage level could not pass through them. Under Huang Ling's command, the remaining experts of the ancient tribe had already gathered in groups and set up a defensive formation. Their mission was to stall for time as much as possible, wait for a miracle to happen. There was no way out. To the ancient clan elites, they had already given it their all to preserve the elite bloodline of the ancient southern region. The war started abruptly. Crazy demons rushed out in batches from all directions, trying their best to deplete the ancient clan's strength. Although they were trapped with the protection of the Nanbua Fire Sea, unless the ancient clan elites exhausted all their strength, the demon army would not be able to charge in, even if the number of demons was thousands of times more. Celestial spiritual masters were best at group attacks. With the power of the Nanbua Fire Sea, they could unleash the power of fire spiritual masters to the fullest. In an instant, the flames were blazing. The demons that Ao Jiang used as cannon fodder screamed hysterically. They were either burned to ashes by the flames or fell into the Nanbua Fire Sea, dying a horrible death. It was extremely cruel. However, this was war. Neither side would give in to the other. Quite intense. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he sped forward. The closer he got to the natural barrier, the more he could feel the surging energy. The entire sky seemed to be dyed red. Before he was even close, he could clearly feel the murderous aura. The rhythm of the war made one's blood boil. Even in this place, the rich power of fire could be deeply breathed and pulsated. The battle is intense. The demon race seems to be under the control of the ancient race. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His figure sped to the rear of the demon race army. The place was pitch black, and the sounds of demons panting and beasts roaring could be heard. He would be lying if he said he wasn't worried as he looked at the group of demon race experts who were brimming with killing intent. However, given the current situation of the demon race, they were still a long way from breaking through the natural barrier. However, he had no choice but to wait. As time passed and the distance closed, the throbbing feeling had completely surfaced. It really is a natural danger zone. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly as he stared straight ahead. His senses pointed to the deepest part of the ancient southern region. What's the situation? Ao Jiang frowned and stood at the front of the army. Looking at the raging flames, Yang Kai felt no fear at all. No matter how strong this southern sea of flames was, it was still an ownerless flame. Only a fire spirit master could use it to display the strength of an ordinary Saint King. But that was all. He was a peak Saint King. Demon King, the progress is slow. Ao Bei cupped his hands and said, the ancient race's defense is flawless. Furthermore, their defense is extremely tight and watertight. I'm afraid that they will take turns to fight us and we will be in a stalemate. How long will it take? Ao Zhang's eyes shone coldly. Ao Bei hesitated for a while and raised his head. If it's fast, it'll take a day and a night. If it's slow, it'll take a few days. We can't accurately estimate how much strength the ancient race experts have left. No. Ao Zhang's voice was cold. It will take too long. A few hours had already passed. To him, it was like a piece of juicy meat in front of him, but he couldn't eat it. Who knew what would happen then? This. Ao Bei frowned and fell into deep thought. Ao Jiang looked at Ao Bei and said slowly, have you noticed? Although the ancient race's defense is tight, there is still a huge flaw that cannot be concealed. Ao Zhang's eyes shone coldly as he stood at the front of the army and looked at the intense battle ahead. Demon King, what do you mean? Ao Bei's eyes shone. Among the remnants of the ancient race army, there is no other expert like ancient god Wu Feng. The corners of Ao Zhang's mouth curled up coldly with a tinge of ferocity. He calmly made his judgment. Even experts at the level of a king sage are rare. If there is really such an expert in the army, There is no reason for them to not attack for a few hours. I'm afraid that the ancient race is preserving their strength or trying to lure the enemy in, Ao Bei said hesitantly. The possibility is not high. Ao Jiang waved his hand. His expression was cold, and he was full of confidence. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. A long delay may lead to trouble. Even if it's risky, we have to take the risk. Ao Jiang's eyes shone as he looked at Ao Bei. He ordered, immediately gather all the King Sage level experts and follow me to attack the natural stronghold. Attack the ancient race's hinterland. Ao Jiang's aura bloomed. Natural stronghold. Huang Ling closed her eyes and stood outside the palace. She used her body to protect Huang Yin and her heart to protect all the experts of the ancient race. She was completely focused, and all the changes in the battle fell on her head. She could not make any mistakes. To Huang Yin, this was the responsibility she had to stay behind. Not good, senior sister. From afar, a pretty girl in yellow rushed over with a panicked expression. Swoosh! When she opened her eyes, Huang Ling's eyes flickered. She said slowly, why are you so flustered? The girl in yellow, Huang Yu's face was pale. She said, Senior sister, there are so many King Sage level experts. They are attacking us. Swoosh! Huang Ling's expression changed instantly. As the defending side, and as the commander, she knew very well where the natural stronghold's biggest weakness was. If her master was here, she would not have such a weakness. But now that her master was not here, she was the strongest in the entire heavenly danger zone. Although the southern sea of flames was very powerful, it caused very little damage to Saint Kings. The demon clan seemed to have seen through the real situation on their side, which was why they decided to use this all-or-nothing attack. Attacking the enemy directly. Although there were many King Sage level experts in the natural stronghold, they lacked someone who could make the final call. With the absolute difference in the number of experts, how could they fight against the demon clan? Most of the ancient clan experts who fled here were the elites of the various clans. Their potential and bloodline were excellent, but their strength was not strong. What should we do, senior sister? What should we do? Huang Yu paced around anxiously. Huang Yu, Huang Ling said slowly with a cold expression. Huang Yu looked up. Her small face was still in shock. Guard the main hall for me and protect young mistress, Huang Ling said softly. They looked at each other, and Huang Yu nodded vigorously. I will, senior sister. Okay. Huang Ling responded softly and did not say anything else. Huang Yu's strength was not bad among her junior brothers and sisters. She was relieved to stay here. With a light step, Huang Ling was like a phoenix spreading its wings. In a split second, she flew out. Her bright eyes shone brightly. She had no choice. She could only fight with the Demon Clan experts and see if there was a chance. Even if she guarded outside the main hall and waited for a large number of King Sage level experts of the Demon Clan to land, the ancient clan experts would be massacred. Now, at least she had more time to prepare. Strike first and gain the upper hand. Bang! Bang! Flames exploded. The power of the Sea of Flames was fully unleashed. The ancient clan experts used all their strength to launch a strong attack, but the effect was minimal. The Demon Clan experts led by Ao Jiang were like 8 immortals crossing the sea. They all displayed their strengths, especially Ao Jiang, who was charging at the front. His eyes shone brightly, and the halo of water flashed around him. The flames could not get close to him. His strength was unshakable by the ancient clan. In order to gain merit, Ao Jiang rushed to the front line. He, who had always been calm and cautious, dared to do so because he was confident and confident. Once ancient goddess Wu Feng died, no one could threaten him. The other King Sage level experts of the Demon Clan also spread out and set off from different corners of the Sea of Flames. They tried their best to disperse their attacks to achieve their goal. Enduring the attacks of the King Sage level flames, these King Sage level experts of the Demon Clan would be slightly injured, but it would not be fatal. After all, it was not a direct attack. It was rather difficult to kill experts of this level. As I expected, Ao Jiang thought to himself. After going deep into the Sea of Flames, he still did not see any decent attacks from the ancient clan. He was much more confident. This time, as the commander of an army, if he could fight a good battle and defeat the ancient clan with the smallest price, then the responsibility of Zhong Yang's matter would no longer fall on him. His merit will be top-notch. When he thought of this, Ao Zhang's eyes lit up. In the Demon Clan army, swoosh, Lin Feng blended in. He sped forward. The Demon Clan experts did not sense him at all. Humans were originally smaller than the Demon Clan. In addition, Lin Feng's speed was very fast. There was a huge difference in strength between him and the Demon Clan experts, so it was even harder for him to be discovered. Lin Feng spread out his aura. He focused and continued to approach the Sea of Flames in front of him. However, doubts appeared little by little. Strange, why did the Demon Clan suddenly stop moving? Lin Feng frowned slightly. He was puzzled as he sped forward. Previously, he could feel the intensity of the battle from afar. The Demon Clan army was furious, and the roars of the beasts were incessant. Now, it was as if the battle had suddenly stopped. It was extremely strange. Even the Sea of Flames in front of him seemed to have stopped attacking. It was getting slower and slower. Could it be that the Demon Clan had given up? Impossible. Lin Feng immediately denied it. The Demon Clan would not spit out the prey that they had already captured. Could it be that the Demon Clan is waiting for reinforcements? Lin Feng nodded thoughtfully. This possibility was extremely high. Suddenly, that's not right. Lin Feng's expression changed. How can the aura of a Sage King expert be so rare? Could it be? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He looked at the Sea of Flames in the distance. He could clearly see the flames burning. The ownerless flames of the Sage King level were emitting intense light. Lin Feng clenched his fists tightly. He was extremely shocked. Understand now, after 2 days of intravenous drip, Xiao Xiao is almost fully recovered. Resume updating. Chapter 1494. To a certain extent, one's knowledge had a lot to do with one's strength. At the level of a Sage King, one's strength was at the top of the Douling world's pyramid. Lin Feng could clearly discern the power of the southern Sea of Flames. He was well aware of just how powerful an ownerless and neutral flame was when he was refining his weapon. Even though the southern Bow Sea of Flames was indeed breathtaking, and its depths might even contain the most powerful earth core flames of the Dough spirit world. But that was only its depths. On the surface of the southern Sea of Flames, the power of the flames was only at the level of a Sage King. Perhaps it had an unparalleled suppressive effect on experts below the Saint King level, but it was unable to cause absolute damage to Saint King level experts. This point, when combined with the number of Saint King level experts in the Demon Race army, was clear as day. The Demon Race could not wait any longer. By using the strength of Sage Kings that far surpass the Ancients, the Demon Race can achieve the greatest results with the least losses. From the standpoint of war, if I were the commander of the Demon Race, I would do the same. Lin Feng's gaze was deep, and his expression was cold. From the standpoint of war, this was true, but from his own standpoint, it was as if his eyebrows were on fire. Big trouble. He had originally thought that this would be a protracted battle, but who knew that the Demon Race would do the opposite? They would rather choose the risky strategy of using elite troops than the safe and appropriate method. This was unexpected. When he thought about ancient goddess Wu Feng's death, Lin Feng's heart trembled. Who could stand alone in this dangerous place? No one. Boom. Like a phantom, Lin Feng dashed out in a split second. His eyes flashed, and, at this moment, it was as if thousands of sharp thorns had pierced into his heart. He was extremely anxious. Angry roars sounded from the Demon Race army. They had discovered Lin Feng's traces, but the remaining Demon Race experts could not catch up to Lin Feng. In fact, they would not chase after him. The moment Lin Feng entered the southern Sea of Flames, ferocious fire snakes tore at him. The flames of the southern Sea of Flames swallowed the power of Sage Kings. This place was like a land of death, and countless demon race experts had died in the sea of flames. However, the flames entered his body and were instantly extinguished. Lin Feng's speed was so fast that the flames couldn't even unleash their power in time. This was because this was a body that truly belonged to the peak of the Douling world. Lin Feng's eyes shone with a sharp light. He clearly understood how powerful the Sea of Flames was, but even if it was the power of a Saint King, he was not afraid. Charging into the Southernbow Sea of Flames was not a big deal to him. Sure enough, they didn't attack. Lin Feng was gloomy. Now, the flames that were attacking him were only the power of the aftermath. The true power of the Southern Sea of Flames had yet to be revealed, but to be precise, it was not good news. The worst-case scenario was that an intense battle had already broken out in the Heavenly Danger Zone. Even if that wasn't the case, the ancient race experts in charge of guarding the area would have focused their attacks on the demon race Saint King level experts. Right now, he still couldn't sense them, which meant that they were quite far away. Please don't let anything happen to him. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and sped up. At this moment, he couldn't care less about the burden on his body. It didn't matter even if his avatar was torn apart. In comparison, the pain in his heart and the danger that his mother might encounter was far more important. Boom, boom, boom. The bombardment of flames was unusually intense. At this moment, close to the Heavenly Danger Zone, a fierce battle was happening in the Sea of Flames. Under the leadership of Huang Ling, the ancient race experts gathered all their power and launched their last and most powerful attack on the demon race experts. They were unafraid of death. They knew very well that the hope of winning was extremely slim. The hope of survival had long been extinguished. How could a miracle be born so easily? Even if the reinforcements came, it would be useless. They were too far away. Once the countless demon race Saint King level experts entered, it would be akin to tigers entering a flock of sheep. The ancient race experts would no longer have any power to resist. By then, the ancient race experts who were restrained would no longer be able to stop the demon race army from attacking. In the end, only death awaited. However, they were not cowards and would not compromise with the demon race. The hatred between the races had long been etched into their bones. To the ancient race experts, even if they had to die, they would drag the demon race to hell. Of course, it was not easy. Ao Jiang, the old fox, had long scattered the power of the demon race experts. One in the east, one in the west, one in the front, and one in the back. To the ancient race experts, a large area attack, coupled with the power of the Sea of Flames, covered a large area. If one demon race expert attacked like this, 2, 3, or even more than 10 demon race experts would do the same. Attacking only one was undoubtedly a great waste. However, they had to do it. They were getting closer and closer. The death of ancient god Wu Feng had caused the battle to be without suspense. Feng Tsong and Feng Jing, who were in charge of the command, were proficient in both the pen and the sword, but their abilities could not compare to Wu Li. As for Huang Ling, her abilities were not even comparable to Feng Tsong and Feng Jing. As for the demon race, even if Ao Jiang did not move, the other Saint King level experts would be enough to easily take down the Heavenly Danger Zone. Once the Demon King level Ao Jiang moved, it would be even more irresistible. He took the lead. Although Huang Ling's main target was Ao Jiang, the Dragon Elephant Turtle race was originally good at defense. Moreover, with their innate abilities and origin energy, they were extremely effective against fire. Together with the extremely strong defense of the Turtle Shellstar armor, they could unleash their abilities to the fullest. Ha ha ha! Ao Jiang laughed heartily. He raised his hand and rich starlight shone brightly. He collided with the fire in front of him. The fire shone brightly, and the intense collision of energy shocked the entire sky. Huang Ling's expression was extremely ugly. Even though so many Saint King-level ancient race experts had gathered to attack, they could not do anything to the Demon King-level existence. They could only slow down Ao Jiang a little. The difference in abilities was too great. I advise you not to waste your energy, Ao Jiang shouted. Prepare to die. Ao Jiang roared with a ferocious look in his eyes. Behind him, the craggy turtle shell star armor was fully revealed. In the void, the dragon elephant turtle race's celestial form flashed. Rainbow water. Ao Jiang's eyes lit up completely. His expression was solemn. In an instant, rainbow light shone and his innate ability was unleashed. Rainbow water filled the sky and flowed endlessly. The Demon King level abilities were fully displayed. The appearance of the rainbow water even suppressed the aura and power of the Sea of Flames. Whoosh! Ao Jiang followed the trajectory of the rainbow water and charged straight down. The landing was in sight. I've got it. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. After speeding for a while, he finally felt a strong energy aura. It's the water origin, the expert of the dragon elephant turtle race. Lin Feng thought to himself. He could clearly feel it. The enormous amount of energy entered his heart, causing him to be even more worried. He continued to fly forward at a rapid speed without stopping for even a moment. The further he went, the more he could feel the strength of the water origin energy. It was even stronger than the southern Sea of Flames. Its strength, Demon King level. Lin Feng clenched his fists. His battle intent was clear. He was eager to fight, but he knew that he was not strong enough to fight against a Demon King level expert. Otherwise, he would definitely die. However, fighting was one thing. Saving someone was another. My luck is not bad. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. What did it mean to feel the Demon King level abilities here? Obviously, the Demon Clan had not truly entered the dangerous land. He still had time and a chance to catch up. However, I have to change direction. I can't get close to the Demon King of the Dragon Elephant Turtle race. I have to avoid him and enter the dangerous land. I'll see if I can find Mother and break out of the encirclement. It was not shameful to avoid him, especially now that he was seriously injured. There was no need to play the hero. The big picture was more important. Moreover, he was not a saint. Although half of the blood of the ancient clan flowed in his body, he was still a genuine human. He would not go through fire and water for the ancient southern region. He only cared about his mother, his grandfather, and his family. Lin Feng gradually deviated from his original route. He drew a fan-shaped arc and went straight to the side, sensing the strong water origin in the distance. He would be lying if he said that he was not anxious. After all, it was hard to say what would happen when he arrived. He had to do everything he could. Bang! His power bloomed. In the sky above the dangerous land, there was an intense collision. Sparks flew everywhere. The ancient clan experts mustered all their strength. Their veins were bulging as they launched fierce attacks. However, it was more like they were stubbornly resisting. Looking at the burning flames in the sky, the strong water origin did not weaken. Instead, it became stronger. The ancient clan experts' faces were filled with despair. They were like heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. In the void, right above the flames, a huge dragon-esque tortoise appeared clearly. Its eyes shone brightly, and its aura was unusually strong. The Demon King, Ao Jiang. Ha ha ha, ha ha. Ao Jiang laughed arrogantly. He had no scruples. To him, these ancient race experts were no different from sheep. They posed no threat to him at all. In the entire ancient southern region, other than Wu Li, there was no other expert who could threaten him. It might take some effort to kill these sheep, and he might even be injured. However, what did it have to do with obtaining a huge amount of battle merits? He already had victory in his hands. Ancient clan, it's time for you to die. In the flames, a rainbow light flashed. Ao Jiang was filled with murderous intent. The strong water origin shrouded the entire dangerous land. Even the southern Sea of Fire could not stop Ao Jiang. It was even more impossible for the ancient clan experts. Despair spread in every ancient clan expert's heart. The aura of death had already descended. With the arrival of Ao Jiang, the Demon Clan experts would enter the dangerous land one after another. They no longer had a chance. Faster, faster. Gritting his teeth, Lin Feng's speed increased tremendously. He sped crazily. However, the message that the Southern Sea of Fire gave him was too strong. The entire Southern Sea of Fire was unusually quiet. However, this silence was not a good thing. It meant that the battlefield between the Demon Clan and the Ancient Clan was no longer the Southern Sea of Fire. The dangerous land had been broken. What awaited the ancient race would be a brutal massacre. The Demon Clan would not show any mercy. If he had arrived a little later, what awaited him would have been the real nightmare. If anything happens to Mother, I will bury all of you with her. Demon Clan. Lin Feng's face was slightly ferocious. The pain in his heart and the anxiety in his heart had caused him to enter a state of madness. His eyes were bloodshot and his murderous intent was fully revealed. Xiao Xiao is really tired. As the starry sky of fiery refinement comes to an end, I have too many regrets. I hope that everyone who still subscribes can accompany Xiao Xiao on the last journey of the starry sky of fiery refinement. It will probably end in November. Chapter 1495. In the Heavenly Danger Zone, the battle was extremely intense. Even though he was surrounded by enemies and was alone among the ancient clan elites, Ao Jiang was as steady as a rock and was not afraid at all. It might not be easy to initiate an attack, but it was not difficult for Ao Jiang to defend and attract firepower. As he came ashore, the Sage King-level Demon Clan elites came ashore one after another. The ancients could not stop it, and they were powerless to stop it. As Ao Jiang opened the door to the Forbidden Land, it meant that the door to the ancient southern region, the natural barrier that they were most proud of, Nanbo Fire Sea, was officially lost. Ao Jiang's helpers were here. To him, the pressure was undoubtedly reduced, but to the ancient clan elites, it was a disaster. Like a ferocious tiger, with the help of the other Sage King-level Demon Clan elites, Ao Jiang unleashed the power of a Demon King for the first time. He charged straight in and killed in all directions. Under the bombardment of the ancient clan elites, he killed one of the Sage Ancient Clan elites. Boom! As Ao Jiang unleashed his power, the ancient clan elites were all shocked. At that moment, more and more Demon Clan elites appeared from all directions. The Demon Clan had an absolute advantage in numbers. They were like countless ferocious tigers baring their fangs and brandishing their claws into a flock of sheep. The situation was tragic. The Heavenly Danger Zone, it was over. It's over. Lin Feng's face was pale. Even though he could not see the battle between the Demon Clan and the Ancient Clan, he could clearly sense the aura. Previously, he could still feel the Nanbo Fire Sea erupting sporadically. Flames would shoot out from time to time and attack him regardless of friend or foe. But now, the Nanbo Fire Sea was like a volcano that had just finished erupting and fell into a deep silence. There were no more flames, and he could no longer feel the power of a Sage King level. Damn it! Lin Feng's brows were like blades, and his eyes were like lightning. The pain in his heart was unbearable, as if it was going to tear him into pieces. His blood was flowing extremely fast. He could feel a deep calling, a desire and need. It told him that danger was coming and told him that he could no longer hold back any of his power. It did not matter even if he was exhausted or if his doppelganger lost all its power. If he was a second late, the outcome might not be changed. Boom! Lin Feng's aura completely erupted, causing the entire space to tremble. As he flew out, his speed suddenly increased, reaching his maximum speed in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng gritted his teeth, his face pale. An extremely strong, binding feeling and a terrifying pressure appeared. His body was like a broken ceramic, constantly shaking and about to shatter into pieces. However, he had to do it. Kill. It was a crazy massacre. Saint King-level Demon Clan experts were all elites of their respective clans. In a one-on-one battle, heavenly martial artists did indeed have an advantage over heavenly gods. Not to mention, The number of Saint King level Demon Clan experts far exceeded the number of Saint King level ancient clans. Be it in terms of quality or quantity, the demon race had the upper hand. Having lost the geographical advantage, the last barrier of the ancient southern region had disappeared. The demon race experts were slaughtering the ancient race experts crazily. Blood flowed everywhere, and corpses were strewn everywhere. Now that the heavenly danger zone had been completely lost, the greatest danger of this situation was beginning to show itself. The demon army had launched a massive invasion. The Nambwa Sea of Flames was just an ordinary sea of flames without any ancient race experts activating it. It was useless. A natural stronghold existed in name only. Humph! Ao Zhang's eyes shone. He mercilessly tore apart the body of an ancient race expert, his eyes filled with disdain. Even if it was a Saint King-level ancient race expert, his physique was not much different from an ordinary Saint-level Demon Clan expert. Ao Jiang was naturally disdainful. At that moment, the scene around him was unbearable to look at. The ground was littered with corpses, and blood flowed like a river. The one who had killed the most ancient race experts was undoubtedly Ao Jiang, who had taken the lead. Almost there. The situation should be stabilized. Ao Jiang looked around and thought to himself. As the number of Saint King-level Demon Clan experts increased, the heavenly danger zone was no longer dangerous, and the counterattack force was completely suppressed. Once the demon army arrived, they would make up for the lack of Demon Clan experts, and the heavenly danger zone would be completely occupied. From then on, there would be no more ancient southern region. To him, there were still important things to do. Ao Jiang had always been cautious. It was rare for him to take the lead this time. Part of it was because of his military exploits and Zongyang's death. Another part of it was because he knew clearly what kind of place the natural danger zone was and what kind of people lived there. Ancient god Wu Feng, Wu Li. This place was the essence of the ancient southern region. I wonder if I could get any benefits. Ao Zhang's eyes shone with anticipation. A rainbow light flashed past. Looking at the ancient race experts who had fled and no longer dared to fight him, Ao Zhang no longer had the intention to kill them. To him, instead of wasting time to kill a few ants, he might as well take advantage of the chaos and explore the ancient southern region. Perhaps there would be some good rewards. As one of the 7 great ancient gods, Wu Li must have hidden something good. Let's take a look at his palace. Ao Jiang muttered to himself and acted immediately. His figure disappeared in an instant and headed straight to the deepest part of the heavenly danger zone. It was a hell on earth, wailing and howling. A lightning-like existence above the sea of fire arrived with a swoosh. Pa! A black figure landed on the ground. Smelling the thick smell of blood, Lin Feng's eyes shone coldly as he looked at the tragic scene, his heart trembling. Even though he was mentally prepared, seeing the corpses strewn all over with broken limbs and bones with his own eyes still sent chills down his spine, and his face turned ghastly pale. Thud! Lin Feng's body staggered slightly as he pressed on his chest. Instantly, puff! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Feng's eyes shone coldly as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his right hand. His chest rose and fell violently as he panted heavily. After using his extreme speed again and again, his body was already on the verge of collapse. Previously, he could still use 20% of his strength, but now, he probably could not even use half of it. However, he still managed to reach it. The Demon Clan. Lin Feng clenched his teeth, his eyes deep. He did not need to look to know the current situation. Under the leadership of the Dragon Elephant Turtle Clan's Demon King, the Demon Clan would definitely be unstoppable. Lin Feng turned back to look at the sea of fire. It was still calm, but he could vaguely feel a powerful aura behind him. It was not just one enemy, but the entire Demon Clan army. The Demon Clan had mobilized their entire army. Mother! Lin Feng's face darkened as his expression changed continuously. He panted heavily, clenched his fists, closed his eyes, and forced himself to calm down. Thump! 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 The sound of his heartbeat was extremely clear, accompanied by waves of intense pain. The blood flowing through his limbs and 5 meridians seemed to be telling him and reminding him. The call from afar was extremely intense. It was as if that sound was the only thing left in the entire world. It was as if heaven and earth had just descended, as if it was a soft cry from the bottom of his heart. What was it? He did not know, and he did not need to know. There! Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes, which shone brightly. Without any hesitation, he shot out like an arrow piercing through the air, heading straight for the depths of his heart. It was not just outside. Inside, the heavenly danger zone was also hell. The ancient clan experts had suffered heavy casualties. As Lin Feng ran frantically, an indigo light appeared in his right hand, and the doomsday spear appeared. He could sense all kinds of auras around him. A battle could break out at any time, so he had to be prepared. Clang! The doomsday spear sounded as if it had sensed its master's anger, and its killing intent surged. The feeling of the spear was very strong, and the starry sky Dao spear technique realm was also unintentionally integrated. Holding the doomsday spear, the killing intent in his heart was completely released. The Tao of Massacre made the indigo light even brighter. Lin Feng went straight into the depths of the heavenly danger zone like a killing god. In front, demons. Lin Feng's eyes turned cold. He could clearly see that a few ancient clan experts were attacking as they walked. However, they could not resist the unscrupulous sage king-level demon clan experts at all. Fire attacks landed on the wolf clan expert's tough, scaly skin. It was difficult to even injure him. The difference in strength was huge. Chi. The wolf clan expert killed 2 ancient clan experts with his 2 sharp claws. His hoarse and unpleasant laughter sounded arrogant and disdainful. Such battles had happened countless times. To the wolf clan expert, it was like a cat catching a mouse. It was too easy. However, this time, the wolf clan expert was very unlucky. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Boom! Instantly, a violent killing intent rose behind him. The wolf clan expert's expression changed. With a low growl, a black hazy color appeared on his skin. It was like a star armor protecting his body. With an extremely fast reaction speed, the wolf clan expert turned around. His eyes flashed red, and he did not hesitate to counterattack. However, he miscalculated. At this moment, he was not facing the ancient clan experts who lacked close combat abilities. Instead, he was facing Lin Feng. Even if he had less than half of his strength left, a tiger, even if severely injured, was not comparable to a kitten. The indigo light of the Doomsday Spear was dazzling. The Starry Sky Spear technique realm, coupled with the power of the Doomsday Spear technique, directly pierced a huge hole in the Wolf Clan expert who had underestimated his opponent. This, a heart-wrenching howl of the wolf resounded. In an instant, there was a bang sound. The Sage King-level Demon Clan expert, who was wreaking havoc on the ancient clan experts, was directly killed. There was no corpse left. Lin Feng's eyes were cold as he gritted his teeth. His face was even paler, but it did not matter. His speeding figure did not even delay the slightest bit. Killing such an expert was as easy as lifting one's hand. The difference in strength was like heaven and earth. This was the world of the strong. The weak were prey to the strong, and there was always a taller mountain. In the depths of the heavenly danger zone. Oh! Ao Zhang's figure flashed as he floated in midair. His bright eyes looked down at the main hall in front of him. Thick greed and amusement flashed in his eyes. He had finally found it. Ancient god Wu Feng, Wu Li's palace. Huang Yu stood guard outside the palace. Her pretty face was already pale. Looking at the Demon King expert in the void, who was emitting a terrifying aura, her delicate body trembled continuously. She could clearly sense the opponent's strength. It was far from what she could withstand. In fact, the Demon Clan expert did not even bother to look at her. He did not care about her at all. Senior sister. Huang Yu gritted her teeth, her heart trembling. Author's note: I have rest enough. Xiao Xiao's body is 100% recovered. Let's conserve energy. Starting tomorrow, 2 chapters will be updated. The fire trial will be completed at the end of November. I hope everyone will continue to support Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1496. Huang Yu naturally did not know that as the commander, Huang Ling had already been defeated. In terms of ability, she was ranked 3rd under Wu Li and was the most powerful person in the ancient clan in this dangerous place. However, her opponent was Ao Jiang, a terrifying being of the Demon King level. Even ancient goddess Wu Li, Wu Feng, had died in the hands of Ao Jiang, let alone her. Otherwise, how could Ao Jiang escape from the encirclement? Without Huang Ling's command, the strong cultivators of the ancient clan were in a state of disunity. Each of them fought for themselves, and there was no sense of cohesion. Therefore, Ao Jiang was like a ferocious beast that had been released from its cage. He ran around everywhere, and it was not surprising that he found the palace. In reality, even if he did not find it, there would be other strong cultivators of the demon clan who would find it sooner or later. Basically, all the experienced warriors knew that. It was just that the other king-level, strong cultivators of the demon clan were fighting fiercely and did not have the time to do so. Ao Jiang raised his eyebrows and looked at her with disdain. At that moment, Huang Yu's apple-like face was flushed red. Although her eyes were filled with fear, there was also determination and determination. The aura of a king level was already released. Although she was unable to face such a terrifying enemy, Huang Yu had already overcome her inner demons and took an important step forward. She wanted to fight. Even if she knew that the chances of survival were 0, she had to fight. Because this was what she had promised Senior Huang Ling. Because the person in the palace was her master's beloved daughter, and her master, Wu Li, was the person she respected the most, just like a father. Bang! She landed heavily on the ground with a pale face. Blood dyed Huang Yu's weak body red. Facing a terrifying being of the Demon King level, she could not even last 3 moves and was completely defeated in less than 10 seconds. She did not even manage to touch the corner of her opponent's clothes. This terrifying, strong cultivator of the Demon Clan was like an iron wall without any flaws. Defeat. Even if she had great courage, even if she took a determined step forward, but reality was reality after all. The fate of the weak was always in the hands of the strong. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Ao Jiang's eyes were filled with mockery. He landed on the ground like a mountain and stepped on Huang Yu's abdomen with his right foot. However, he did not even look at her. So what if she was a king-level strong cultivator? Ao Jiang did not care and did not know what it meant to have tender feelings for the fairer sex. Boom! It was as heavy as 1,000 caddies. His right foot, which was glowing with water droplets, exploded with stellar origin power. With one stomp, Feng Yu's delicate body was crushed. Her eyes were closed, and there were tears left on her face. Those were tears of unwillingness. She gritted her teeth so hard that they almost broke. Even at death, Huang Yu did not make a single sound, not even a moan. She had passed away. She had the most brilliant years, but now she was withering away. However, Huang Yu did not regret it in the slightest. She only felt that she was powerless and a little guilty. She had failed to complete the task that her senior sister had given her. Foolish loyalty. Ao Jiang's face was filled with disdain as he walked past. To the demon race, the 7 emotions and 6 desires of humans were undoubtedly foolish. The demon race also had so-called loyalty, but their loyalty was based on strength. The strong were respected. Dong, dong, dong. His heartbeat grew heavier with each beat. Pooh, spitting out another mouthful of blood. Lin Feng's head rumbled as he felt his consciousness blur. He had used his extreme speed again and again, but now he had truly reached his limit. His body that was on the verge of shattering was still persevering, and he was only relying on his belief. He had to persevere, the feeling of his heartbeat, the calling from the depths of his soul. I'm almost there. I must be almost there. Lin Feng clenched his teeth, and his thoughts were extremely clear. It was not only an intuition, but also the familiar heartbeat in the depths of his heart was telling him that he was getting closer and closer. However, the feeling of uneasiness was getting stronger and stronger. He did not know what had happened. In fact, even if he knew, he would only be anxious. The only thing he could do was to get there as soon as possible. Where was it? Bang! 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 His heart felt like it was about to jump out of his throat. Lin Feng's face was pale, and he did not even have time to wipe away the blood at the corner of his mouth. As he sped forward, he vaguely saw a huge palace and felt the energy that made his body tremble. What was that? A palace. Lin Feng's eyes lit up completely. His originally dim eyes were now shining brightly. His intuition told him that it was the place that he had been searching for, the place that was calling from the depths of his heart. It was as if there was an invisible line that led him here. What was in that palace? His heart was beating violently. Lin Feng's mouth was dry, and his eyes suddenly caught a glimpse of a dead body. Oh no! Lin Feng shuddered, and a chill ran down his spine. A beautiful woman had died in front of the palace, and there was still a trace of battle aura in the air. It was very familiar. It's the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan. Lin Feng clenched his fists, and his heart was burning with anxiety. Without stopping, his right foot lightly tapped the ground, and in an instant, he rushed into the palace like the wind. A huge palace. A loud rumble sounded, as if a calamity was about to happen. Lin Feng pursed his lips tightly, and his eyes shone brightly. Previously, he thought that it would be very complicated to search for something in the palace, but it was clearly not the case. Just the fluctuations of the battle had clearly exposed his target, and the calling from the depths of his heart was clearly guiding him. Over there! Swish! Lin Feng was as fast as lightning, and he was like a ghost. He had the body at the peak of the Douling world. Even though he was severely injured, he seemed to have made it just in time. Hua! After a few turns, a door with dense flame patterns was opened. Lin Feng's eyes shone, and he instantly entered. The scene in front of him changed drastically. The dense flame aura, along with the astonishing battle strength, instantly erupted with the most terrifying power. Boom! Rumble! Lin Feng's heart trembled when he sensed the destructive might. In front of him, a rainbow-colored water curtain appeared, as if it was made by nature. The powerful force extinguished the flames directly, and the restraint of the origin energy was fully displayed at this moment. He finally found the existence that made his heart beat faster. A huge flaming phoenix let out a miserable cry, and it was enveloped by the rainbow-colored light and fell to the ground heavily. Its aura was gone. It probably had no battle strength left. Phoenix, this is the divine beast Phoenix. Lin Feng looked at the phoenix in front of him and felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity, just like his original body, because the blood of the phoenix also flowed in his body. But at this moment, the phoenix was already on the verge of death. The culprit was an old man who exuded a terrifying demon aura. He had a strong body that did not match his face, and every muscle seemed to have terrifying, explosive power. There were many wrinkles on his forehead, and his back was slightly arched, as if he was a hunchback. However, the faint light flashed with turtle scales, as if an old man was carrying a turtle shell. Behind him, the virtual image of the Dragon Elephant Turtle was clearly visible. The Dragon Elephant Turtle clan, the Demon King. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. The old man's identity was obvious, and he had the same strength as his clone at its strongest state. Other than the Demon King of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan, he could not think of any other possibility. At this moment, Ao Jiang was also shocked. A pair of dim but gleaming eyes stared straight at this uninvited guest, and there was a hint of fear in his heart. He recognized the human in front of him. It was the human expert who killed the Demon King Zhong Yong together with Wu Li. Why was he here? Human. Ao Jiang suddenly spoke with a tinge of fear in his voice. After a long battle, his strength had been depleted. A especially when he defeated the divine beast phoenix at the peak of the Sage King realm, which had injured him. Although the human in front of him looked much weaker than him, he was able to kill the demon King Zhong Yong, which meant that this human had the ability to fight against the demon king. If it was not necessary, he did not want to fight to the death, as it would not benefit him at all. Demon King. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly, and he spoke. His body moved without leaving a trace, and he landed in front of the phoenix, protecting it. Ao Jiang raised his eyebrows and asked in a low voice, "What are you doing here?" "Then what are you doing here?" Lin Feng asked back, his eyes flashing slightly, and a faint light appeared between his brows. He knew his own situation, and although he tried his best to hide it, he believed that the demon king in front of him must have suspected him. His clone was already exhausted, and his remaining strength was not enough to fight against the demon king. He would be seen through sooner or later. If he wanted to fight, he could only rely on his real body. Ao Jiang frowned. Although he saw that Lin Feng was acting strangely, he did not suspect much. He only thought that Lin Feng was afraid of releasing his strength, and said in a low voice, "This is a feud between the demon clan and the ancient clan. Let me give you a piece of advice. Human, do not meddle in other people's business." Meddle in other people's business? Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly, and his brows shone. Suddenly, his figure changed, and like an overlapping shadow, it split into two. Ao Zhang's expression changed, and a thick rainbow light appeared. He immediately launched an attack to block it, but he was still one step too late. Although the rainbow light attack was powerful, Lin Feng's summoning of his real body had already been completed. Shield of Truth. The moment his real body appeared, the Shield of Truth's defense was set up, and it flashed in front of him. It did not require much effort, and it did not even consume much strength. How strong was the Shield of Truth's defense? One of the three heavenly treasures. Punk. When it came into contact with the rainbow light, the Shield of Truth shone brightly. Pack. The collision of strength disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng did not move at all. On the contrary, Ao Zhang's eyes shone brightly, and there was a deep sense of greed in them. Treasure. An extremely strong treasure. He could not see the existence of its grade, but it was stronger than any of the defensive innate treasures he had ever seen. Ao Jiang, who paid the most attention to defense, saw the shield in Lin Feng's hands, and he could not help but feel tempted. With his experience, although he did not know that it was a heavenly treasure, he knew how valuable it was. It was hard to estimate. Ha! Ao Jiang laughed heartily, and his laughter was filled with arrogance. He did not expect that in Wu Li's palace, a human with a great treasure would appear before he had obtained any benefits. The world was truly unpredictable. On the other hand, the appearance of Lin Feng's real body was even more shocking than Ao Jiang. The feeling in the depths of his heart was 100 or 1,000 times stronger than that of his doppelganger. He turned back to look at the dying phoenix, and it was indeed not where his intuition was, but that flame. Lin Feng's eyes lit up completely. In the deepest part of the palace, he could vaguely see a flame burning, and what made his heart tremble was within that flame. The next chapter may be published later at midnight. Chapter 1497. He could not be more familiar with this flame. The flame of rebirth. It was one of the two top flames of the phoenix and had extremely strong defensive abilities. However, this flame was far superior to his own flame of rebirth, whether it was the origin of fire or the star source. That was truly the top flame in the Douling world. What was in the flame that made him so excited? The distance was very close, but he only glanced at it, and his gaze did not stop. Lin Feng looked straight at the demon king Ao Jiang. He was very clear. No matter what, he had to defeat him first. As for the call on the flame, he did not have to pay attention to it. If he cared too much, he would be used by the demon king. From the pair of demonic eyes, it was obvious that he would not retreat just like that. In fact, with his own abilities, even with his own body, he would not be able to scare him off. As one of the 5 demon kings of the demon clan and the leader of the dragon elephant turtle clan, Ao Jiang had extremely strong judgment and experience. Right now, his gaze could not leave Lin Feng, no, the shield of truth. He wanted the treasure left behind by Wu Li, but he also wanted the shield of this human in front of him. Ao Jiang did not want to give up either of them. Human, you should know that even if you have an independent doppelganger, you will still die. Ao Jiang's eyebrows were like blades, and his murderous intent was slowly revealed. You should cherish this opportunity. If you're willing to hand over the shield, I, Ao Jiang, promise to let you live. How about that? Lin Feng smiled faintly and secretly praised Ao Jiang's judgment. The shield of truth had just appeared, and Ao Jiang had already set his eyes on it. It was not his style to give up without a fight. Although his doppelganger had almost lost all its powers, at least his original body was unharmed. Perhaps his abilities were still far from Ao Jiang's, but a fight did not count, and it was not a direct comparison of abilities. There were many factors involved. Without a fight, how could he admit defeat? Moreover, it was too stupid to entrust his fate to the enemy. Why should I believe you? Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he spoke slowly, but he was stalling for time. To him, the situation was extremely critical. The more time he had, the better. Not only did he give his doppelganger a chance to breathe, he also had time to think about what to do next. It was not advisable to fight head-on. Given the current state of his clone and his main body, their chances of winning were less than 10%. I, Ao Jiang, have always been a man of my word. Human, Ao Jiang's eyes were bright as he spoke slowly. However, it was Lin Feng's reaction that made him happy. If he could obtain victory without shedding a drop of blood, he would naturally not be willing to cross swords with Lin Feng. After all, if he were to fight against an expert of such strength, even if he were to win, he would still be injured. In serious cases, he might even be severely injured. Ao Jiang's seductive voice rang in his ears. Lin Feng's eyes moved slightly, but his mind was full of thoughts. What should he do? What was the most appropriate way to deal with it? My main body will be the main attacker, while my doppelganger waits for an opportunity to strike, Lin Feng thought to himself. Although the doppelganger did not even have half of its power, it still possessed the top-notch physique of the Douling world. It could still unleash its maximum speed once or twice. In addition to the Starry Sky level spear technique realm and the power of the demon underworld lock, to kill Ao Jiang, it could only rely on the doppelganger's power. However, the doppelganger's endurance was already at its limit. He did not know how long it could last. Once the doppelganger could no longer hold on, it would be impossible for his main body to win. The difference in strength was too great. Lin Feng's heart suddenly moved. He felt that familiar pulse. The flow of his blood seemed to be calling out to him. Actually, there was no need for him to fight to the death with Ao Jiang. If he could create an opportunity for his main body to lead Ao Jiang away, wouldn't his doppelganger have a chance to take advantage of it? The existence of Shield of Truth not only gives my main body an excellent defense. Ao Jiang is also eyeing it. Lin Feng's eyes shone slightly. Leaving the main hall to fight, my doppelganger will have a chance. Mother is most likely in the fire of rebirth. Like the call of a loved one, connected by blood, Lin Feng secretly moved and a plan formed in his mind. Anyway, what Ao Jiang wanted now was the Shield of Truth. His main body could totally lead him away, and he could save his mother. However, by then, his main body might not be able to escape. Lin Feng's brows furrowed as his heart sank. There was no perfect plan, but this plan was undoubtedly much better than the previous 2 methods. No matter what, at least he could save his mother. As for what would happen after that, it was still unknown. Moreover, as long as his mother was safe, that would be enough. Let's do it this way. Lin Feng moved, and the hesitation in his eyes suddenly turned into determination. At that moment, Ao Jiang's voice died down, and their eyes met. Ao Zhang's face suddenly darkened. He was very experienced and had already seen through Lin Feng's thoughts. Stall for time. Human, what do you think? Ao Zhang's face was solemn. His surging murderous aura was about to explode, and he had lost his patience. Lin Feng raised his head and faced Ao Jiang without any fear. Just as he was about to speak, a gentle voice suddenly rang in his mind. It was like a mother's voice, "Child." The voice was very soft and carried a sense of weakness, but it went straight to his heart. Lin Feng's expression changed instantly. "Who is it?" Lin Feng's eyes brightened. "I am right behind you." The voice was tired and short, as if it was about to lose its strength. Lin Feng's body trembled slightly. Behind him? He immediately understood and reacted. What was behind him? The divine beast phoenix. Was it talking to him? Although he did not know how it communicated with him, everything that was happening before his eyes was too bizarre. Human. Ao Zhang's anger surged, and his aura was even more like Pang Rant's. "Let me think about it." Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he said slowly. Once again, he stalled Ao Jiang, but it made Ao Jiang clench his teeth, and he was very angry. "Don't be surprised, child. My blood flows in your body." The voice of the phoenix appeared in his mind again. This time, Lin Feng understood. His eyes widened and his heart trembled. His blood flows in his body. Could it be that he was the phoenix who left a drop of blood essence in Tianwu continent and was reborn from the fire? Phew! His chest rose and fell rapidly. Lin Feng felt that it was unbelievable. It was as if it was destined that he would reunite with him here. No wonder he was so familiar with him and moved by his heart. No wonder they could communicate telepathically. While Lin Feng was shocked, Ao Jiang had completely lost his patience. His eyes were cold. He did not want to wait any longer. It was a pointless waste of time. "I will give you the last 3 seconds, human," Ao Jiang said in a low voice. His tone was cold and did not allow for rejection. 3. The voice was loud and heavy. However, Lin Feng did not care at all because he was completely shocked at that moment, just because of one sentence from the phoenix. "So, my blood flows in your child too. We are of the same origin." The phoenix's voice was weak, and she said slowly, "Everything is destined, child. There is not much time left. Come to me immediately. I hope to pass on my power to you before I die. Hurry." The voice was extremely hurried at the end. It even sounded like an order. Lin Feng's eyes were wide open. Although he did not know what the phoenix meant when she said that his child had her blood flowing in his body, he understood the meaning of the other sentence. The phoenix was about to die, and she wanted him to accept her power of inheritance. Bang! His head exploded. The phoenix's words immediately messed up Lin Feng's original plan. Ao Zhang's voice was filled with murderous intent. The countdown had gone from 2 to 1, as if a judge had given an ultimatum. Ao Jiang finally could not hold back his anger. The rich energy of the water origin was completely released. Clang! The doomsday spear suddenly released its power. The indigo light flashed with a dazzling luster and lit up the entire hall. Lin Feng clenched his teeth and endured the pain of his doppelganger's broken body. He leaped up and dashed towards Ao Jiang. Plans could not keep up with changes. His original body flashed and arrived beside the phoenix the moment his doppelganger dashed out. Looking at her kind but weak eyes, they did not need to speak as if they could understand each other. Why? The giant wings trembled and the rebirth flame appeared and enveloped him. Lin Feng closed his eyes and his heart was calm. He believed in her. There was no need to doubt. The feeling of being connected by blood was real and could not be fake. The rich rebirth flame enveloped him. His body was in pain, as if the phoenix had cut his veins and blood was flowing out. However, in an instant he felt a warm, extremely rich feeling that warmed his entire body. It was as if blood was mixing with blood, as if souls were touching each other. Everything came naturally, as if there was a heavenly match. Hold him back. Lin Feng's eyes were like torches and his thoughts were extremely firm. The opportunity had arrived. Although plans could not keep up with changes, This change was an excellent one. The power of inheritance and the phoenix was the power of a peak sage king, the power of a real divine beast. His original body had perfectly merged with the last of the phoenix's power. He would definitely be able to increase his power rapidly and might even be able to catch up with his doppelganger. By then, he would be able to turn the tables. The opportunity was there. What he needed to do now was to use his doppelganger's broken body to hold back the Demon King, Ao Jiang, and buy enough time for his original body to receive the inheritance. Demon Underworld Lock. Lin Feng's eyes lit up and blue light appeared instantly. As the only blue-class heaven-class treasure that could enter the Battle Spirit's supremacy ranking, the Demon Underworld Lock had the power of an indigo-class innate treasure. It was extremely useful in a battle and could perfectly coordinate with almost all offensive and defensive techniques. Sizzle. Sizzle, sizzle. The space was distorted as if a devil's hand was twisting the entire space. The Demon Underworld Lock was released instantly. Lin Feng's face was pale and his brain felt empty. The rapid consumption of energy was squeezing out the last bit of his energy. However, he had no way out. Hua! Ao Zhang's eyes lit up completely. The shield with extremely strong defense had already shocked him. Now, there was the noble existence of the Battle Spirit Supremacy, ranking 13th, Demon Underworld Lock. This human, Ao Jiang, was extremely shocked. Chapter 1498. Although he was shocked, it made Ao Jiang even more excited. A good innate treasure could increase the power of an ancient martial art practitioner unparalleled. To Ao Jiang, be it the Shield of Truth or the Demon Underworld Lock, they could both help him improve. Even if his power was not comparable to a Demon Royal, as long as he had one of the two treasures, he was confident that he would become the strongest among the 5 Demon Kings. Killing an ancient martial art practitioner might not cause the ancient martial art practitioner's compatible treasure to drop. Even if it did drop, there was a high chance that it would be damaged. The key was the compatibility between the ancient martial art practitioner and the treasure. Previously, Lin Feng had only shown one treasure, and Ao Jiang was still hesitant. Now, the two treasures were different. The chances of success had undoubtedly increased. Mystery, turtle scale, armor. Ao Jiang's expression was normal. He was fearless against the attack of the Demon Underworld Lock. He might not know about the other innate treasures, but he knew about the 13 innate treasures on the Supreme Do Ling ranking list very well. Ao Jiang was very clear about the ability of the Demon Underworld Lock. Once he was entangled by the strong space binding, it would be extremely difficult to escape. To fight against the Demon Underworld Lock, one must not only defend, but also attack. Mystery, hating wave. Ao Jiang's eyes lit up instantly. The virtual image of the Dragon Elephant Tortoise clan behind him became clearer. The eyes of the giant tortoise shone brightly, and the rich energy of the origin of water spread out in an instant. It surrounded the thick and rugged tortoise shell and surged out in all directions like a tide. Boom, boom, rumble. The dense water wave attack messed up the distorted space of the Demon Underworld Lock. At that moment, the blue light of the Demon Underworld Lock came into contact with the rugged turtle scale armor, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. It revealed its original form, and the starlight dimmed slightly. It had lost its effect. The Demon Underworld Lock, that had lost most of its power, could not perform its original function. Ao Jiang smirked and was quite satisfied. However, his expression changed instantly. He had just blocked the Demon Underworld Lock, and the terrifying aura had already appeared in front of him. Like a sudden clap of thunder, a ball of black and golden light shone brightly. It's so fast. Ao Jiang was shocked. He stretched out his hands and crossed his fingers. His reaction speed was not slow. The Dragon Elephant Turtle clan was extremely adept at defense, and the water origin energy was second only to the earth origin energy in terms of defense. Coupled with the defensive power of the Dragon Elephant Turtle clan, Their defensive power was one of the best among all the demon clans. Rise! Ao Jiang bellowed. In front of him, a transparent stream of water gathered to form a ball. It was extremely fast. Clang! The Doomsday Spear shone brightly, the indigo light blossoming behind the golden star source energy. Chi, piercing straight into the sphere, Lin Feng's eyes were like torches as he clenched his teeth. The excruciating pain attacked his heart, and his body felt as if it was about to collapse. Even though he had stabbed with his spear, the damage to him was far greater than Ao Zhang's. However, there was no way out for him now. Other than attacking, it was still attacking. In terms of defense, he had no endurance at all. The only way was to catch Ao Zhang off guard and stall for time while he was still unsettled. Bang! The sphere was directly pierced by the shocking force of the spear and exploded like a water bomb. The force of the Doomsday Spear was released, but it did not change its direction and continued to stab straight at Ao Jiang. However, in the face of the sharp way of the spear and the strong, murderous aura, Ao Zhang's expression did not change. His eyes flickered, and in an instant, the shattered water bomb gathered again and blocked in front of him. Swoosh! Lin Feng's gaze turned cold. The moment the Doomsday Spear and the sphere collided, his blood surged. However, he could not show any weakness at this moment. He forcefully swallowed a mouthful of blood into his stomach. Lin Feng's right hand trembled slightly, and he bellowed. The golden star source energy bloomed and broke the sphere again, turning it into countless water bombs. Break! Lin Feng clenched his teeth and bellowed. The force of the Doomsday Spear exploded instantly. The water bombs that had just broken and were flying in all directions were instantly enveloped by the golden star source energy and turned into nothingness. How could he fall for the same trick twice? However, Ao Jiang gave a strange smile. His dark eyes flashed brilliantly, as if he had seen through Lin Feng's facade. He did not attack at all. Taking advantage of the gap, he leaped back lightly. He twisted his hands again and released the power of the water origin. Powerful indeed, Lin Feng thought to himself, his eyes bright. Although he had tried his best to hide it, the battle was the most direct contact between the two parties. It was within his expectations that the old fox would see through him. So what? He had never planned to win. The main purpose of a doppelganger was to stall for time. With a doppelganger that was now like a broken porcelain, it was impossible for him to kill Ao Jiang, who was in his peak condition. As a demon king, Ao Jiang was not only powerful, but he was also cautious and meticulous. This could be seen from his leadership. He was very experienced and was a cunning old fox. Lin Feng did not hesitate. He followed Ao Jiang and leaped back. The doppelganger followed, but he still retained some strength. Very soon, Lin Feng did not move. At this moment, the power of his original body seemed to have activated the absorption mode. It was madly absorbing the purest power of the divine beast phoenix. Rather than calling it an inheritance, it was more of a dedication. Because their blood was connected, he did not reject the power of the phoenix. It was smooth, and the absorption speed was extremely shocking. The power was constantly increasing. Middle level Saint King. Lin Feng's chest rose and fell rapidly. He closed his eyes, and his eyelashes trembled slightly. However, there was a hint of worry and sadness in his excitement. This was the most original power of the divine beast phoenix, but it had given all of it to him. Why? The reason was simple. It was because it was about to die. Don't be distracted. The weak but kind voice sounded in his mind again. Lin Feng was shocked and pursed his lips. Their minds were connected. It was obvious that the phoenix could feel the emotions in his heart. It was useless to say anything now. There was no need to be pretentious. Absorbing the power of the phoenix as much as possible was the greatest respect for it. Clenching his fists, Lin Feng was fully focused. The energy of the phoenix kept entering his body and turned into his most essential existence. Perfect harmony. On the other side, the battle in the main hall was still ongoing. Ao Jiang, who chose to retreat to consume Lin Feng's power, was toying with Lin Feng like a cat toying with a mouse. His successful defense made him even more confident. Although the human in front of him was strong, he was seriously injured for some reason, and his power was greatly reduced. It won't be long before I can capture him. Ao Jiang was full of confidence, and his eyes were bright. Bang! It was another attack, but it was like scratching an itch. Although the realm was strong, the power was almost non-existent. Even the astral source energy was very little. Lin Feng retreated like a kite with a broken string. His chest was panting heavily and he was vomiting blood. Something was wrong. Ao Jiang's eyebrows moved slightly, and there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. He felt that something was very wrong. The strength of each attack was getting weaker and weaker. Logically speaking, Lin Feng's power was greatly depleted, and it was true that his attacks were getting weaker. However, even though he knew that such a small attack could not hurt him, he still attacked again and again. Wasn't that stupid? A human that he had never seen before with such strong power was so stupid. Was this normal? Wait, where did his independent doppelganger go? Ao Jiang suddenly remembered, and his expression changed. He treated Lin Feng's original body as an independent clone. It was no wonder. How could a normal ancient martial art practitioner's original body be weaker than his clone? Only a weirdo like Lin Feng would do that. Ao Jiang looked around, and his eyes were shining brightly. He locked onto his target almost instantly. It was the Phoenix, the divine beast Phoenix at the peak of the King's Sage level. Bang! Bang! The flames were hot and burning rapidly. Although they were far away, Ao Jiang's heart trembled slightly. That was power. The power of the peak of the King's Sage level was hidden deep within the flames. It was as if there was a rising star within the flames that was shining brightly. That feeling was very clear, but it was extremely threatening. Maybe other ancient martial art practitioners did not understand what was happening, but Ao Jiang had been through many battles. How could he not understand? Damn the Phoenix. Ao Jiang's face was distorted. Almost instantly, he reacted. With a furious roar, his killing intent exploded. The dragon elephant tortoise's silhouette appeared behind him, and a bright rainbow light appeared. The rich water energy condensed into a rainbow color, and the essence of the star source energy condensed. Rainbow water! Ao Jiang roared. The rainbow water drew a rainbow-like trajectory and shot out from the light shadow of the dragon elephant tortoise behind him. The power was extremely terrifying. You still found out? Lin Feng smiled weakly. His clone was barely able to move at that moment. He was only holding on with his strong willpower. Lin Feng's eyes flickered as he looked at the rainbow light that had appeared in front of him. It was clearly not something that his avatar could block. In fact, its target was not his avatar. His body tilted slightly and dodged. The rainbow light directly attacked the dying phoenix. With the strength of the phoenix, if it was at its peak, it could still fight back. However, it was now at its last breath. How could it block Ao Jiang's attack? The answer was revealed in an instant. Shield of Truth. Lin Feng roared and unleashed his strength at will. Although he was wrapped in the phoenix's wings and could not sense what was happening outside, he could clearly see what was happening outside with his clone's eyes. The engravings were dazzling. The Shield of Truth appeared in an instant and blocked the path of the rainbow light. The defensive target was very clear. Boom! The attack of a demon king was strong and powerful. However, the Shield of Truth possessed the strongest defensive power in the Douling world. The terrifying attack of the rainbow light was completely absorbed by the dazzling engravings. The Shield of Truth finally unleashed the absolute suppression of a heavenly treasure. It was ferocious. No, this is impossible. Ao Jiang's eyes widened, and he was extremely shocked. If his first attack was blocked by the Shield of Truth, he was only surprised and did not think much of it. However, now that his inherent skill Rainbow Light was blocked, he was completely shocked. Ao Jiang knew very well how powerful the Rainbow Light was. It was an attack that he had accumulated power for, and it was enough to hurt a demon king. However, just like that, it was easily blocked. This shield was simply too terrifying. The next chapter will be updated later. If it is not updated at midnight, it will be updated tomorrow morning. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.